into 100.
Pulling no return, I ain't going back. Thought I couldn't do it, had to show you that. I ain't got no feelings, it ain't no love. I ain't never changed, I just glowed up. Why you talking dope, you ain't sold none. Ain't no double cup, but I be pulled up. I ain't got no dick for a broke bitch. Always talking money, you ain't no shit.
You ain't smoke nothing, you ain't know nothing. Niggas tryna build a business off of dough money. I ain't got no love, bitch, I'm cold-blooded. Not believing what you saying, gotta show something. Just caught me a new DG, hit me 400. Got it for the low, we sellin' whole onions. Just ran up a check, but I need more money. Just me and my head is how we gon' double. Serve a lot of dope, pack a lot of poles. We be throwing foes, we from Thomas Road. And the block be high like it's Holly Grove. Vibing off the porch since the snotty nose. Hey, we don't rock with snakes, we don't honor those. Niggas got the flock and they your partner told. Gave my heart to a bitch, she put it on herself. And I can't blame nobody, put it on myself. Yeah, you did what you did, that was how you felt. And that was your true colors, that was nothing else. Young niggas living fast, couldn't see the future. Had to tuck a lot of losses, had to keep it moving. Like the crazy shit I seen, it had me influenced. Like how you supposed to be OG, but ain't no leader to it. I'm a B.O.N. like bum them. Stand 10 toes down, I don't jump shit. Pulling no return, I ain't going back. Thought I couldn't do it, had to show you that. I ain't got no feelings, it ain't no love. I ain't never changed, I just glowed up. Why you talking dope, you ain't sold none. Ain't no double cup, but I be pulled up. I ain't got no dick for a broke bitch. Always talking money, you ain't no shit. You ain't smoke nothing, you ain't know nothing. Niggas tryna build a business off of dough money. I ain't got no love, bitch, I'm cold-blooded. Not believing what you saying, gotta show something. Just caught me a new DG, hit me 400. Got it for the low, we sellin' whole onions. Just ran up a check, but I need more money. Just me and my head is how we gon' double.
Yo, had the avenue sold up. We was running to their cars when they drove up. We got big dimes, we got swolled up. Ain't no 6'9", I ain't told none. There's no let up on you niggas, never slowed up. I'm too busy going crazy, I'm a bone thug. Did a lot of dirt, I pray that God forgive me. I made so much money off that Bobby with me. Ain't gon' never end, they ain't gon' stop the killing. It's only one thing dying down, they be the opposition. I just put my baby mama on the blacklist. She replying to the hoes that be commenting. I just stuck on 30 shots and it's my stick. We gon' wet up any nigga that be dry snitch. And I'ma B.O.N. like bum them. Stand 10 toes down, I don't jump shit, bitch. Pulling no return, I ain't going back. Thought I couldn't do it, had to show you that. I ain't got no feelings, it ain't no love. I ain't never changed, I just glowed up. Why you talking dope, you ain't sold none. Ain't no double cup, but I be pulled up. I ain't got no dick for a broke bitch. Always talking money, you ain't no shit.
You ain't smoke nothing, you ain't know nothing. Niggas tryna build a business off of dough money. I ain't got no love, bitch, I'm cold-blooded. Not believing what you saying, gotta show something. Just caught me a new DG, hit me 400. Got it for the low, we sellin' whole onions. Just ran up a check, but I need more money. Just me and my head is how we gon' thug it.
We Japanese still. You can cook in front of your family like a Japanese meal. It's Yasuta Hibachi, and none of you niggas can stop me. But can't help but watch me. So look, bro. You know, Benayah is back at it again. He's making these crazy claims. These claims that are pretty much indefensible when it comes to DNA, when it comes to this whole Sephardic Jew link that he's trying to impose and say that, hey, African Americans are somehow, by and large, connected to Sephardic Jewry. If you guys watch some of my old videos, I made similar claims. Not as extreme. Like, these guys have really taken it up a notch, if you know what I mean. Misunderstanding scientific papers is one thing, but after seeing the correct understanding and then propagating the misunderstanding afterwards, I got to call you a liar after that. And I know that word liar has been misappropriated and abused, especially on social media, different forms of social media, whether it be Facebook, whether it be YouTube, whether it be anywhere on the internet nowadays. People will assume someone's lying. But again, remember what the word lie denotes. If someone's a liar, that means they know better or they know what they're saying is deceitful, and they do it anyway. It's like they intend to deceive. So that's what the word liar means. So I've been trying to peel back on who I call a liar and who may be lying, because at the end of the day, someone could just be misinforming people. That is a possibility. And, I try to give Benayah and these guys that benefit of the doubt, but come on, man. You making the same claims over and over and over again, then I might have to charge you with the lying thing, man. You might, be considered a liar at this point, because once you go and establish these pseudo talking points, like trying to claim that all Sephardic Jews were black, when we have complete empirical data showing otherwise, or like you say, Negro is a pseudonym. So that's why, a lot of Afrocentrics and Black Hebrew Israelites love to play with that word Negro, which there is some truth to it, but trying to use the minority to constitute the whole is the issue. It's a false equivalency, where you'll find historical examples of Jews that may have been dark skinned, and then you're trying to use that historical example to try to broad brush the entire history of Jews and Jewry in Europe and make them all black, Negroid, West Africoid, whatever terminology you want to use. That's what these guys are trying to get at, which is untrue. The bodies in the ground have been exhumed, and the people that are associated with Jewish graveyards and stuff like that, they don't all look dark skinned. They have pale skin variants. They have blue eyes. Some of them are redhead. So this is where we have to, the rubber meets the road, so to speak. We have to come in and at least provide some kind of counterbalance to this misinformation from these Black Hebrew Israelites. Because what happens is these guys go out and misinform a swath of people. And then, just like I was caught up in the Purple Bandit, the Israel United and Christendom, you got to have that alternative. So what we're going to do tonight is review the video, correct some things again, because he's making some of the same exact claims that he did in his last videos. I mean, didn't even change one iota. It's the same thing. One thing I noticed about Teo and Benayah is that these guys will double down and triple down even when proven wrong. Even when information. Well, I can't even give that to them. Black Hebrew Israelites in general. Yeah, Ezra. That's what I'm saying. Like, after a while, I see like you know what you're doing. You know that you're being deceitful at this point. You're purposely intending to deceive people, and it's just it's hard not to call you a liar at this point. It's hard. If you're really researching this stuff and you're reading about the history of Jews and you're learning about Judaism and you're learning about the Jewish plight and the pogroms, so on and so forth, and their existence in Muslim Spain, their existence in Granada, their pastimes in Europe in general, whether it be Eastern or Western or Northern Europe, then you're going to have to meet the crossroads at some point and be like, okay, these people are Europeoid or white or blue-eyed. These people have pale skin. But again, the Black Hebrew Israelites teach you that all those things are negative connotations, just like rednecks used to teach back in the day that, being black is negative, So it's oxymoronic at the end of the day. It is very telling at the end of the day what Benayah and crew are doing. And we just have to have a fresh cup of water, a clear perspective on this that isn't bogged down by someone's religiosity or idea of who they think the special chosen people are, quote unquote. This is why I don't do a lot of biblical videos or anything like that anymore, because you guys go crazy when it comes to those type of topics. And I like to stick to things that can be empirically shown, so we can at least edify. You always talk about edify. Edify means to build. We got to edify something, and they're not doing it. This is just cults. These are cults. That's why I respect modern Jewry. I respect Israelis over Black Hebrew Israelites. You can say what you want to say about modern Jewry. You can say what you want to say about the state of Israel, but one thing they do have is familiar structure. Right, they do respect their families and building families. They prosper. They work towards upper mobility. Right, some of them coming from families that are dirt broke. You know what? We're going to get to that too. Y'all want y'all to stay tuned, man. I've been working my ass off, but we're going to get to the history of Jews in Israel, and we're going to gain an understanding of what actually took place there. But anyway, I respect them because they actually have tangibles, these things they built and shown forth. You know what I'm saying? Black Hebrew Israelites, you got nothing. You just got a bunch of video pastors, digital churches, pretty much. COVID churches. If you remember the COVID area, all the churches went Wi-Fi. That's all y'all got. And it's like, what is that? What? That's nothing to respect. And then on top of that, you're ultra racist. You're just racist. You're ultra racist. We already went over Benayah's video where he pretty much says white people are the spawn of, aliens from Ridley Scott's movie, fallen angels, mixed cave beasts, all type of weird, crazy, rhetoric that they say. So it's like, oh, bro, you're openly racist and you're ultra racist. It's just that simple. You're judging people based on their skin color. You say someone's white, and therefore, and they white and red haired, even though many of the Jews that you guys claim to be were pale skin and red head, had red hair. But you claim that as some kind of insignia to denote some kind of, demonic presence on the earth. Openly racist. If a white person was to get on camera and, speak openly on the internet about that, you guys would condemn them if they said that about black people. Oh, black skin is demonic, or black people came from X, Y, and Z. You guys would be quick to denounce them. But you guys accept these racist people, and it goes back to the book Animal Farm, where the animals in the farm were being oppressed throughout the entirety of the book at the onset, and then they have a revolution, overthrow the farmers, and then the pigs become just like the farmers and begin to oppress the rest of the animals. It's the same dichotomy with the Black Hebrew Israelites. You want to be that wretched oppressor. You seek to be that person because it's in your language, it's in your ideology, it's baked into it. Many of you Black Hebrew Israelites believe that all the nations are going to be enslaved, that everybody's going to be enslaved except, the people you deem to be these special group of people, and you deem that based off of who you think went on slavery, experienced slavery, which is another weird concept coming from these Black Hebrew Israelites groups. So, tonight's pseudo wars, you understand, Benayah strikes back. We're going to deal with his video. We're going to deal with his claims. And we're going to break down each claim, attempt to break down each claim, and show you guys how pseudo these guys get. And just expect this guy to get worse and to double down, triple down. I don't see him changing anytime soon. His channel has a lot of traction. I think the video now is at like 23,000 views. So that means a lot to these guys. So they're not going to give up their viewership. They're not going to give up their monetary gains. I think he's been demonetized on YouTube, so he's trying to get most of his followers to go to another platform now. So it is what it is. But so we're here. We're covered under the Fair Use Act because we will be giving commentary and criticism to what we're going to witness here. And just remember, man, this show is sponsored by Lucifer, man. And I am Yahshua ben Lucifer. I am Yahshua ben HaShaitan for a reason. I am the great adversary. None of these guys want to get in the ring with me. Ezra says they just tried to drown out the truth. But y'all keep hitting it, because hitting it is going to stick in the long run. Yeah. My job is to pretty much just bring out the correct information and try to give you guys a clean glass of water to drink from. Because these guys they just muddying everything up with their openly racist doctrine, ultimately ultra anti-Semitic, ultra race. They hate white people. They despise them based on their skin color. All these detestable things they put on them because of their skin color. Again, if the shoe was on the other foot, if there were YouTube channel after YouTube channel of white Americans going around teaching negative rhetoric about black people, you guys will be crying, bitching, and moaning about it. But I don't see anybody, even the Christians don't even get on them for their racist rhetoric. Because a lot of times you black Christians, a lot of times y'all be low-key racist too, man. Come on now. So they just preaching to y'all. They preaching to the choir to y'all. These people on Berean, they don't be getting on them for saying that stuff. Y'all support open racism, man. Then y'all try to make this is how you know you support open racism, because you try to make every excuse in the world for that bad behavior, for their ideology, for their rhetoric. You try to make every excuse in the world to justify what they're saying, instead of just saying, hey, I condemn the speech. I don't know why that's so hard to do. Listen, I condemn the speech. I don't agree with their message, because their message ultimately it's a racist message. And if the shoe was on the other foot, I would not like that. I would not like groups of people saying these type of things about me or any of my relatives solely based off skin color. I thought that's what all the marches was for. I thought that's what civil rights was for. I thought that's what the African Americans of the past fought against. But now you got these cults and these amassing these large groups that are fighting to support it. Somebody help me out here. Ezra, happy Hanukkah. Happy Hanukkah to the Jewish nation, Israeli. Well, I do support Israel as well. They celebrate Hanukkah as well. And shout out to everybody that celebrate Hanukkah, man. Get your party on, get your feast on, enjoy yourself, man. If it's a feast day for you, you need to enjoy it. That's another thing these camps be doing wrong. You supposed to be partying during these days. Y'all done turned it into some kind of military drill. But anyway, from there, let's go. This is a great one. A new scientific truth is usually not propagated in such a way that opponents become convinced and discard their previous views. And that's something you got to understand, man. Because a lot of people, a lot of guys get upset because they want to convince people. We're not here to convince anybody. I'm not here to convince anybody. Let me speak for myself, right? Let me be very clear. Yeshua ben Lucifer is not here to convince nobody. I'm not here to try to change your mind. But what I am here to do is just present the information. And those that understand it, good. Those that don't, hey, it is what it is. It says here, a new scientific truth is usually not propagated in such a way that opponents become convinced and discard their previous views. No, the adversaries eventually die off, and the upcoming generation is familiarized anew with the truth. And that's Max Planck, which is one of the people that were instrumental to discovering modern science. Some of the components of modern science. So copyright 107, notwithstanding the provision of section 106, 108, that's inconsequential. Anyway, for purposes such as criticism, commentary, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, or research. So we're covered under section 107 of the Fair Use Act. So we're able to review this man's footage that he published on a public platform known as YouTube. Anyway, with that being stated, let's get to it. Yeah, man, I'm pro-Jew here. I'm pro-Israel, man. They about their business. They about their family. You black Hebrew Israelites are just faking the funk, man. Y'all faking the funk. Start producing households that make over $100,000 a year. Get rid of the racist rhetoric, and maybe I'll respect you. Until then, you guys are a fool, man. You guys are a fool. Oh, you know what? Let me We log into this one here, and let's play the video. New Hope in the building. Happy Hanukkah, brother. Happy Hanukkah. I know the candlesticks are shining bright in your household. So let's start this video, man. I just got to pull up the YouTube here. There we go. I'm gonna let that play. Hold on. I want to load up StreamYard in another browser that allows me to share the tab. Just give me a second, y'all. I'm sorry about the noise, y'all. Give me a minute. I'm working two different browsers. I had to get out of that browser because I didn't like the way the StreamYard was acting. StreamYard doesn't work too well with Mozilla Firefox for some reason. So let's move on to this one. Sorry about that. Let me know if y'all can hear that. Let me know if y'all can hear it. And if there's any audio disparities, let me know. Hey, brother, you hit it right on the head right there. Some type of hypnotizing mechanism. Yeah, man. Look at the intro. Look at that. Oh, hidden in your DNA. All of this is to draw, feelings and emotions of the audience, is make them feel special. When you make them feel special, you got them. Oh yeah, you guys have been lied to. You guys are special people. It is hidden in your DNA. It's hidden in your DNA. Look at some of these claims here. Captivity DNA of Babylon. They got DNA from Babylon. They're making claims of DNA that they got ancient Israelite DNA, all these different claims, and these people are just eating it up. And, for the most part, and this is why it's important that we make videos like this and we review these claims, because they are relying on the ignorance of the audience. Because let's be honest, majority of the audience is not going to fact check or research or attempt to try to grasp the rudimentary basics of DNA. They're not going to go and read papers. They're not going to do that. So they're relying on that so they can go and make these false claims and continue to feed their base.
"100 proof. The Negro. They cut off his fingers and..."
You guys notice 100 proof, meaning that this is definitive. The claims in this video that he's about to make is 100% true. That's what he's telling you. And this is why I'm teetering and tottering on, the idea of charging him with being a liar, because you're claiming that what you're about to present is 100% true. 100% true, bro. Like that. First of all, that's unscientific. You don't make definitive claims in the field of science. You don't, because you could always update and modify. Once you say 100%, you're not giving yourself any room for error or to make corrections. So this is a very unscientific stance that he's making here, but he's telling you, hey, what I'm about to tell you in this video about Judah's DNA is 100% true. And that's why I'm like, man, I might have to give Benayah the liar card on this one. Because again, to be a liar, again, even though the internet misuses that word, misappropriates that word, to be a liar means you intend to deceive. And I think he has all the attention in the world to deceive when he makes the claims of being 100% right on anything. I think anybody would, if they go and they say I'm 100% right, or some people act like they get information directly from Gabriel. Gabriel the angel has Benayah's email address, and he just sends them information.
Thumbs if they caught him reading those old books. After all, those books revealed his true identity. And they couldn't have him learning that now, could they? How else could they justify his persecution, torment, and murder? By the hands of the church, by the hands of the Christians. The church openly persecuted the children of Israel. In fact, they persecuted none other than the royal house of Judah. Now, while Judah was in captivity, Judah was fed from the mouth of the great red dragon and the daughter.
Again, here we go. Open racism. Who are they calling the red dragon? Who are they calling serpent seed? They're calling random white people that they don't even know, by virtue of their skin color, that they're the serpent seed, that they're the red dragon, they this, that, and the third. Again, every single one of y'all watching this video, and you guys that are sending this to Benayah and his constituents, you guys will be upset if white people, a white group of skinheads or something, got on YouTube and made videos saying this stuff about black people and levying these same claims and charges against black people. Random black people they don't know, saying, hey, you guys are all of the serpent seed. You guys will be upset and mad. But these people are just open and they do it. It's a surprise that, YouTube took so long to demonetize that channel. I don't know how they got away with this stuff for so long.
Of Babylon. You see, the daughter of Babylon taught Judah his history, a version of history which began with slavery and the west coast of Africa. This altered version of Judah's history began in 1619 with the arrival of Africans in English colonies on the east coast of what would later give rise to the United States of America. Judah's history before 1619 was simply omitted, covered over with new books containing a slightly modified history.
Okay, now Benayah, you know goddamn well that Judah's history or the Jews, right? Oh, first of all, I don't know how you single out one damn tribe and then try to say this one tribe is the only victim of slavery. At least that's how he's delivering it. But claiming that Jewish history was omitted is false. We have tons and tons of information on Jews, in part because Jews have been known to be a literate group for thousands of years. You know, when Europe was in a barbaric state, the Jews knew how to read and write because they believe in the importance of practicing their culture and their religion and reciting and storing and reading and writing, right? So they maintain a level of literacy, right, for thousands of years. So that's one group of people that we know that is documented. The reason why West African history is so sparse before the intervention of Islam is because there is no literate culture, as far as we know, in West and Central Africa. You know, there is no culture of writing and recording and stuff of that nature until the advent of Islam or you start to see the Muslims come in and bring in the Arabic dialect and the Arabic text. Once you see them come in, then we get that. So to try to just cast off, since we don't see, because basically what he's saying is, there is no history of black people before this, and you try to conflate that with Jews. No, Jews have a rich history, and this is why many of your claims about Sephardic Jews being somehow all black and all African American, or the antecedents to all African Americans, it's just false. It's false. They were all over Europe. Their history is they're well documented. Their DNA is there. We're gonna get into that when we get to the DNA claims of this video.
To cover up this truth, modern-day books occasionally omit key parts of quotes which describe the Jews as Negro or Black, often by using well-placed ellipses to hide the truth. We can even find modern books deleting entire paragraphs which describe the Jews as being placed on West and Central Africa in great numbers and then sold into slavery. We can also find modern books acknowledging the common understanding of Jews being black during the Middle Ages, only to propose their blackness as being metaphorical. Family, these are just some of the discrepancies found in contemporary books and reasons why you should go directly to the source and read it for yourselves.
See, look at the conclusion it comes to. Judah's black. Judah's black. Because in his mind, all of the Jews have to be black. That's the claim. And the irony behind this, the people that purported on Jews having dark skin, many of them themselves were Jews or Christians. So if you're saying that these people are concocting a conspiracy, then you're saying you're discrediting the people that you're getting it from, right? Because you're getting it from these Jewish people of the past that were writing polemics, or they were writing early scientific physiognomy books back then and trying to give attributes to the Jewish group based on things they were seeing or hearing. at the time. And yes, there are somatic, we're going to get into that as well, attestations of Jews being dark skinned. There's also somatic attestations of Jews being white. And you guys just ignore all the literature saying Jews are literally white. I don't want to hear no metaphoric understanding of this, because you don't apply the metaphoric understanding every time you see dark skin. So when you see white skin or pale skin, or they were pale and gray, I don't want to hear those excuses. Right? Oh, no, that means they were pure and they were sick. Get the hell out of here. What it means is physically these people had pale skin. And we're going to show you through the phenotypic analysis that is true. That you had pale skinned Jews, you had some dark skinned Jews. There's nothing wrong with that. It makes perfect sense knowing that these people were mixed from the onset, and they mixed with some Levantines that had dark skin at the beginning, some Levantines that had white skin and blue eyes at the onset. And this is why it's pertinent to stay up to date with the science. Those people in the Pecking Cave, when they did the phenotypic analysis, that's 6,000 years ago in the Levant. So all you guys saying Greek and Roman invasion, no, those phenotypes were already in the Levant at least 6,000 years ago. That's the Chalcolithic period. That's the Copper Age. So these ideas that these people all have to have the same color and they're this homogeny, man. You guys believe that people are homogeneous units and there's no diversity. You picked the wrong group. From the onset of Jewish history, they are a mixed bag. Let's get back to it.
The DNA of the Negro is arguably one of the most misunderstood DNA stories on Earth. You see, traditional DNA analysis rightfully trace so-called Negro DNA back to Africa. And these relationships are discovered by simply comparing present-day African American DNA with present-day African DNA. And as stated before, this analysis rightfully identifies our deep connection with our African brothers and sisters. However, there's one critical missing component in this type of DNA analysis, and it's called genetic bottleneck. They drunk at the promise that you was she knows that she is the same. She's trying to stop playing games. She said love again. She said they do not know what they do. They do not see them. You see, a genetic bottleneck event occurs when a catastrophic event of such magnitude, of such destruction, that it wipes out or greatly reduces an entire population. In other words, the population gets purged. And the so-called Negro has gone through multiple purging events. These DNA impacting events could be an earthquake, which levels an entire city. It could be a megablast from a sleeping volcano, which obliterates all life within 100 square miles. Or, in the case of the so-called Negro, it could be the transatlantic slave trade.
Now I'm gonna let that play. But again, like he said, the genetic bottleneck is a greatly reduction of the population, a great reduction of the population, which is weird because when you look at the slave trade, look at our numbers now and look at our numbers then. Are you saying at the onset that it was a great reduction? Well, that would be the opposite of what the slaves were brought over for. They weren't brought over here to be killed and slayed. Not saying that slaves died in the Middle Passage. Yes, we know millions did die, but you have a little bit of both. You have some aspects of genetic bottlenecking, and then you see an increase of population because it became a business, right?
Which murdered and displaced millions of people around the world over hundreds of years. Or a genetic bottleneck event could be triggered by an expulsion edict or an inquisition, which evicted and murdered hundreds of thousands of the House of Judah in Spain and Portugal. And so these major events, which caused hundreds of thousands of people to disappear from an entire region, subsequently changed the DNA profile of the surviving population. Most importantly, these genetic bottleneck events impact DNA matches, which display on modern-day DNA reports. For example, so-called Negro DNA isn't found among certain modern-day populations.
All right, so now we're getting into the realm of pseudo, because now you got to say, well, genetic bottlenecking is the reason why modern day Jews, Palestinians, people that live in the regions of the Levant that they're claiming there is no genetic connection or a great genetic connection between African Americans and those groups. Here's the issue with that claim. Then you would have to show the sample group or the ancient group that you have in West Africa that does. See, you never want to progress the argument. It just sticks to these zingers that you think you have. If the genetic bottleneck is explaining, which it does not explain, why you don't see a great similarity or comparison with modern day Palestinians and Levantine people and groups in general. Does not explain that. The second problem he's having with this is we still match with the parent group that we come from. And when I say we, I'm saying, the majority, not all African Americans come from West and Central Africa. But the ones that do, we still match with the Igbo, the Yoruba, the Isan. We still match with them. The people about Congo, we still match with those people. So I don't get his point. He invoked genetic bottlenecking to say, well, this is what eliminated the Levantine DNA. This is very pseudo. Well, okay, then two things can't be true. These two things oppose each other. Then that would mean the West African groups there will have a greater affinity to Levantine groups, which they don't. They have it at a small level, but they don't have it at these great levels because with his understanding, these people will have been left behind, been in West Africa, stay mixing amongst their native groups. Then they should retain this Levantine ancestry. This is just all pseudo, man. Super pseudo.
In great numbers. And it's because the Jews were expelled from those places. For example, today's DNA reports don't show so-called Negro DNA matches in and around present-day Israel. However, if we instead compare so-called Negro DNA to ancient DNA extracted from archaeological sites in Israel and Lebanon, we find something unexpected. We find so-called Negro DNA buried in the ground of ancient Israel before the time of the Messiah. Beirut, Lebanon. These ancient archaeological dig sites date back as far as 800 BC. Here, archaeologists discovered the remains of multiple people who lived in ancient Lebanon. These ancient remains are assigned ID numbers and dates. In this particular archaeological site in Beirut, Lebanon, we examined one of the DNA samples collected from an ancient grave site. DNA from this ancient individual is labeled SFI 43. This particular individual lived approximately 567 to 404 BC.
All right, so again, this is why I am saying I'm teetering and tottering. You're deceptive, and you're using the same slides on the same from the video a year ago or 2 years ago called 100% proof of the tribe of Judah. This is wrong. This whole thing is wrong. I'm gonna show you where he messed up. Well, I ain't gonna say messed up. I think he's doing this on purpose now. Look at this. So we go back, and Avery and I have brought this out before. Let's look at the claim.
In Lebanon, we examined one of the DNA samples collected from an ancient grave site. DNA from this ancient individual is labeled SFI 43. This particular individual lived approximately 567 to...
This is not even the paper that DNA sample comes from. This paper here, Genomic Insights into the Origin of Farming in the Ancient Near East, this is dealing with Natufians. It has nothing to do with this Lebanon sample, which he does show the actual paper here. Look at the sleight of hand.
I-43. This particular individual lived...
This is the actual paper here. Genetic History of the Near East from Ancient DNA, time course sampling 8 points in the past 4,000 years that it came from. Why did he do this?
567.
Into the origin of ancient Near East? I don't know why, man. It looks like the sleight of hand because he's trying to show that ancient Negro DNA, as he says, which is going to be completely wrong because in the original video, he says this DNA is E1B1A. It is not even a damn male. It's a female.
7 to 404 BC.
So there's this claim right there. This FF143 sample that's called Iron Age 3 and it's 567 BCE to 404 BCE. He's claiming that this is somehow a Negro, or in his original video, he claimed it was E1B1A. So anybody can do this. Remember, he said Lebanon, right? Go to haplotree.info, and I will put this in the chat so you guys can have the link so you guys can fact check these people as well. You can actively fact check these people. All you got to do is go to haplotree.info. They have a lot of the ancient samples. Type in the part of the world or region that they're talking about. So right now he's talking about Lebanon. You can just type in Lebanon on this website. Boom. And you will see all the samples that, was gathered so far in that region, as you can see on the screen. Right? So he's making the claim that this SFI-43 individual is somehow Negro, which again, Negro is a pseudonym, so that I don't know what he means by that. But somehow an antecedent to African Americans, which is very weird because when you go to this marker, let me see if I can find it here. It's a female. One's a female, one's a son. Oh, it's not even popping up here. Oh, here it is. SFI 33, boom. 43 right here. Can you guys see that? Hopefully that's big on the screen right there. It's 2,400 years, about 2,400 to 2,500 years. Look, Iron Age 3. This is the same sample he's talking about in Lebanon. Look what haplogroup that is. Mitochondrial haplogroup. First of all, this is a female. In his original video, he tried to pass this off as E1B1A. This is not no damn E1B1A sample. This is a female T2C1. Right? That's the clade. And we can look that clade up. Come on, Mal. The phones got smarter and you niggas got dumber. How many times I gotta say that? Anybody can look this up, man. This is that bibbity bobbity boo scholarship I'm talking about. The sleight of the hand. That's what I'm saying. Like, this dude is a liar. He's a liar. Because not only you double down, you triple down on this, and we've already proven it's wrong, and it's wrong, man. I believe that this is wrong. I don't believe, like, at first I thought he's just making mistakes, but no, I think it's wrong, man. This is a female. Why were you passing this person off, this ancient individual off as a male, one, and saying this E1B1A? The data does not agree with that. The data is clear. It's T2B3. So now all you got to do is, let's just look this up. Let's go to Google. T2B. Type in mitochondrial DNA haplogroup. Again, everybody watching should know what a haplogroup is. A haplogroup is a group of individuals that share a common ancestor. Remember, he's making the claim that these ancient samples match or the antecedents of African Americans, and this somehow proves his Israelite claim, right? So when you go to mitochondrial or maternal group T2B, oh, this is even better right here. We got the 23andMe results. Someone shared the 23andMe results. As you can see, look, T, mitochondrial DNA T, right? It says, Jamie, your maternal haplogroup is T2B. As our ancestors ventured out of Eastern Africa, they branched off in diverse groups that crossed and recrossed the globe over tens of thousands of years. Some of their migrations can be traced through haplogroups, families of lineages that descend from a common ancestor. That's what I just told you guys. Your maternal haplogroup can reveal the past, followed by the woman of your maternal line. I guarantee you, this haplogroup amongst African-American females is probably less than 1%. Probably less than 1%. But he's claiming that this is an ancient ancestor, the antecedent to African-Americans. No, it's not. It says, while some members of R travel far and wide, some remain in the Middle East. So this is a typically Middle Eastern associated female lineage. And as you can see, the arrows, the trajectory of the migration of these people, they went all over. They went to North Europe. They went to West Europe. They went to North Africa. Some of them went into, going in towards Eastern Asia. They went there. So we don't have to play these games. Like I said, the phones got smarter. You niggas got dumber. The phones got smarter. You niggas got dumber, man. Ezra says, why did he say this sample was Negro? Because the sample had sub-Saharan African DNA. You know, it had sub-Saharan African autosomal components, which is not shocking. Most of those people have sub-Saharan African. Some of those ancient DNA samples have sub-Saharan African. The 3 pharaohs that they found in Egypt, in Lower Egypt, had sub-Saharan African components to 12%. That's not a shocker. People that's been studying this stuff, we understand that those components were there, meaning groups were there. But what he's trying to make a claim of, this is not true. Oh, this is our ancient Israelite ancestor. And in the first video, he claimed that this was E1B1A. This was a female, man. So let me read this. Haplogroup T arose among the latter group from a woman who lived approximately 25,000 years ago. Its present-day geographic distribution is strongly influenced by multiple migrations out of the Middle East into Europe, India, and Eastern Africa within the last 15,000 years. The origin of migration of haplogroup T2B, your maternal line, stems from a branch of T called T2B. All the members of T2B trace their maternal lines back to one woman who lived only 10,000 years ago. Some evidence suggests T2B may have arisen within Europe, where it spread through Mediterranean, Central, and Western Europe over thousands of years. Migrants carrying the haplogroup also moved back into the Middle East, reaching both the area of the Levant and the edge of Iran. And why is this interesting? So let me go from here. Let's go to when they actually found ancient Israelite, they confirmed ancient Israelite DNA. Do y'all guys remember the mitochondrial DNA? Ancient Israelite DNA. Let's type that in. All right, there you go. There we go. So let me go straight to it. I remember I covered this article in its entirety, but there is a haplogroup here. Let me see if it was T2B. Let's go to the mitochondrial. Let's type in haplogroup. We know the man was J2. and the female was T1A. So you had a T1A in the Iron Age um, Israelite sample that was found there. So the T's have been in that region for some time. It says here, as for the mitochondrial DNA, which is inherited from the maternal side, the two individuals that carry out Uraim displayed two different haplogroups. One, T1A, is a very ancient ancestral haplogroup with similar counterparts already found in individuals living in Jordan some 10,000 years ago and in southeastern Europe around 7,000 years ago. So again, this haplogroup was already found. The major haplogroup was already found in Israel. This is not a big deal, but again, he's trying to make this seem like these are the antecedents of modern African Americans. It's the sleight of hand, man. It's the sleight of hand these guys use. So now from there, let's go to that haplogroup real quick. Hold on. Because it's very important we take our time just to break down some of these crazy DNA claims this guy makes, man. Crazy DNA claims. Oh, hold on. Let me keep reading this real quick. Let's not move on from this. Let's keep reading this. It says, in later samples is found in Iran, in those Canaanite sampled in Israel, as well as all the way to the Baltic and Ural Mountains. So this thing has always been in Israel, has a long-standing relationship with that geographical region. So this suggests that this haplogroup's initial source may have been somewhere in the Neolithic Anatolia or the Levant and slowly spread with early farming, Shaw says. So again, so now let's get African American women, let's get their haplogroups. Because again, remember the claim is that this is somehow an ancient Negro, in his words, which he's trying to denote that these are the antecedents or ancestors of African Americans. So let's see. African American female or mitochondrial DNA, empty DNA. Let's just get a pie chart real quick. So I got a lot of charts here, man. Let's get some African, let's see, mitochondrial DNA L groups. Yeah, I mean it's primarily L. Mitochondrial DNA. And again, there's still going to be some diversity, right? There's still going to be some diversity. All right, here's a good one. Let's get this one. Mitochondrial DNA in the Atlantic slave trade. Share this tab here. And let's go straight to the chart. Again, if you guys are having trouble seeing what's on the screen, just let me know and I will enlarge it. Here's some markers here of African American women. L1, L0A, L1B, L1C, L2A, L2B, L2C, L2D, L3, L3B, L3E. I don't see the T2 marker they showed and claimed that this was an ancient ancestor African American. I don't see it. See the U6M1, L0, L3, L1C. So this is basically, for the majority. Again, you're gonna have some J1C. You're gonna have other claims, you're gonna have other clades, because again, they're not, even this is not homogenous. These are different clades of L that they have, that most African Americans. I think the highest frequency is L2A, is the highest frequency amongst African American females. And again, we're more African on our, with the females more African than the males, because they're only like 15 to 20% European, and men are like 30 to 40%, so haplogroup wise, meaning 30 to 40% of African American men descend from other groups outside of Africa, Europeans, Jews, or whatever, right? Yeah, Ashkenazi Jews do have L2A. They do. That is a fact. Let me go down. So there was a pie. It was a clean pie. There it is. There it is. North Central. Let's download the high res image here. So north, you can see the look. You got a small percentage of U6 there. some L3, L2B, U6 makes a lot of sense of its presence being in North Africa, Senegambia, and certain areas like that. As you can see over here, you do see U6 in West Africa. But it's primarily different L clades is what you're going to see in African American women, as you can see here. So his claim that this is supposed to be the direct ancestor of African Americans is not backed up with the empirical data. It's just not. Doubling down and tripling down is not going to change the facts. It's not going to change the empirical data, man. You gotta, again, like I've always said, we should bend our theories to the facts, not the facts bending to the theory. Not the facts bending to our ideas. And that's what many of you people do. You try to bend the facts to your idea. It does not work that way. And again, anybody can look this stuff up. Just type in African American mitochondrial DNA. You're going to see these charts. Type in pie chart. You're going to see these papers. You can go read these papers. Educate yourself. The scriptures tell you, be not ignorant of anything small and great. I'm not a big quoter. I don't do the religiosity stuff with you guys, but I like to quote stuff like that because it promotes education. It's anti-ignorant, right? Because a lot of you guys are anti-intellectual. Like Benayah, he's anti-intellectual. He's pulling the same stunt twice. Right? So let's go back to the video. I think we did enough deconstructing of this claim. It's a preemptive strike at this point. They're going to cry and say, oh, let Benayah free from the river to the sea. Yashuv he's being a bully. He's being a tyrant. All right, let's go back.
Researchers compared the ancient DNA remains of SF543 to modern-day Lebanese and Egyptian populations, as well as samples taken from a previous report. They discovered something shocking. They discovered the ancient Lebanese labeled SF543 was not closely related to modern Lebanese populations. Instead, SF543 showed close relationship to ancient Egyptian DNA samples. This is related in the following graph. Notice the dark green dots of the ancient Egyptian DNA are close to the light green dots of the SF543 ancient Lebanese DNA samples. The same findings were illustrated in yet another graph. Now, in this particular graph, related or shared DNA between samples is displayed as red marks. Now, notice SFI43 shows red related marks when compared to the ancient Egyptian DNA samples. However, researchers didn't stop there. They added one additional group to compare their ancient Lebanese SF543 DNA to. They compared it to the E1B1A Yoruba DNA of West Africa. And they were surprised to see that it was a perfect match.
Again, playing on your ignorance, he's making the same claim. He's claiming that this has something to do with E1B1A. And then it's a perfect match. It's a perfect match, y'all. Oh, God, man. This is just beyond idiocy at this point. Again, SFI43 is a female, not a Yoruban. Here's the thing. Nigerians have a plethora of haplogroups, but we just went over that. Majority of them are going to be L. They're not going to be T. Majority, we're talking about the majority of these clades, they're going to be some variation of L, not this T. SFI has sub-Saharan African autosomal components, meaning that she has ancestry. Some of her ancestors mixed with a group that is related to the sub-Saharan African Yoruba diaspora at some point, which that is science. Like, we know that. The flatworms that West Africans have come from Egypt, so we would expect that. You know what I'm saying? But the claim that he is specifically making that this is somehow connected to E1B1A is completely false. Matter of fact, SF144, I believe, is the son, and the male that she got with, you can also look at that DNA. Let me see if I get the SFI40. Where is that? 44. Share this tab right here. That would be a J marker, JZS1711, which is a J1A marker found in Lebanon, which is not a shocker. We know J is in the Levant. So trying to make the claim and do the sleight of hand does not work here. Ezra says, right, we know the mixtures happen, and that's the case for E1B1A. Yes, it is the case that there were the E1B1A in that land, but that's not the claim he's making. The claim he's trying to make is that this is an ancient Israelite, one, and secondly, he's trying to make that this is a direct ancestor to modern African Americans. Both of those claims are false. And it has been, shown and demonstrated throughout the video. Anyway.
Negroes in Israel before the time of the Messiah. And it's not like we're just finding one person in these ancient sites. In research reports, we find the DNA of our African American queens listed as L0 and L3. That's the DNA of Negroes.
And see, this is the whole contradictory thing. You understand that, by Negro, I'm assuming he means Western Central African. That's just a very tricky, weird term. But you understand that most of these markers will be L. But before this, you show a slide and show a scientific paper that's dealing with haplogroup T. Make it make sense. Somebody in the audience, please make this claim make sense. This is paradoxical. This is oxymoronic at its best. You just cut yourself, man. This is Japanese suicide ritual all day.
And it can only mean one thing. We were there. Ancient DNA which matched the Yoruba of West Africa. What is it doing in Beirut, Lebanon in 567 BC? Family. The Bible tells us life is in the blood, and they're finding your blood in these old bones of Israel.
All right, so let's go to the supplemental of that paper, because he just tried to woo his audience, by making a claim and then having the color spread and splash screens and all that good jazz, right? You know, people love to be entertained. So when you go to the paper, right? And, you know, by the way, Benayah is not wrong about African American, lineages that are tied to some African Americans found in the Levant. The L2A is one, and L3 is another. L3E is another group that was found there. You know, so that part is true. Again, the claim that SFI is somehow the antecedent to African Americans is completely false. So when you go to that paper, matter of fact, I'm going to drop it from the Cell article here. Well, there it is. I'm going to drop the link, and then I just want to read this portion here. And it's going to be very important because he thinks that this ties to the Negroes, in his words, right? And anybody can read this. Anybody can look this up. You know, you don't need no bibbidi bobbidi boo scholarship right here. And it shows the components of SF5 44 and SF5 43. You got some pre-Ptolemaic Egyptian. It's matching SF5 44 because they believe this is a first degree relationship, meaning mother, daughter, son, father. That's what first degree means, right? Ptolemaic Egyptian, Ascalon, Iron Age 2. So we just ignore all those other components. Fuck those components, right? According to him. Just hone in on the component that can make my Black Hebrew Israelite claim. Also, the son had Egyptian Ptolemaic, Ascalon, Egyptian pre-Ptolemaic, and Hellenistic Beirut in Lebanon, right? So when you go down here, it talks about a hybrid. The son also had a Roman component, Ascalon, Sidon, and Beirut. So when it goes into modeling SFI 44 as a mixture of SFI 43 and population B, repurport the top 5 models in a model involving a hybrid genome constructed by mixing an ancient Egyptian JK2888 and an individual SFI34 from the Beirut population. So who is this individual here, the JK288, that these two are related to or share affinity with, right? So let's type that in. Let's go to haplotree.info. Yeah, we gotta demystify this, man. And we're gonna type in Egypt. Pull up the ancient DNA for Egypt. See if we can find this JK288. Let's deal with this JK2888, I believe it was. Individual, as y'all can see here. Let me blow it up a little bit. There it is. JK2888. Now, let's go to haplotree.info. And bam, there it is. The first one that shows up. Oh, it's EV22, E1B1B. Mitochondrial U6A2. Which is rare amongst African Americans, but you're making this broad sweeping claim that this is supposed to be representative of all African Americans because they have some autosomal components that match with Yoruba. Again, this is completely pseudo, man. And by the way, shout out to Yap. Now, how did this person look? Because he keeps throwing the word Negro, that this Lebanese sample cluster close to, which he brought. Oh, they cluster close to Egyptians, which is supposed to mean something in his mind, right? Because Egypt means black or Negro to him. What did this JK2888 individual look like? So JK, let's type in 288. And we're gonna type in reconstruction. This is what scientists believe this ancient Egyptian looked like during the time, when they were alive. Are y'all ready? Are y'all ready for this? Do y'all want to see this? Because I feel like a lot of Afrocentrics are dying inside right now. Black Hebrew Israelites, they watch my videos and they die inside a little because my information does not comport with your feelings. It just doesn't, right? So look, bingo, that's how they would have looked. So again, these are the antecedents of Yoruba and African Americans according to Mr. Benayah. Y'all see that JK28888? That's what he would have looked like. The alleles that they have would most likely, create this type of look, this type of phenotype, this type of facial structure. Look at the hair texture. That's most likely how this person looked. As you can see, the face of 3 ancient Egyptian mummies have been brought to life by Parabon Nanolabs that incorporated using DNA that's more than 2,000 years old. So when that paper says, oh, it matched closer to Egyptian samples, these are the samples it's talking about. It makes sense that, EV22 would carry sub-Saharan African components. I mean, duh. It makes sense. But again, I didn't show this to you and then give a splash screen and theatrical music and a slideshow that fades in and out with different pictures to mesmerize you. I didn't do that. I just went straight to the information to educate you guys on the topic that he's trying to confuse you on. So if we follow his logic, these will be all Negro. In his mind, that's how this works. These are black people. Family. Judah is all black. Let me address that real quick. Let me address that clean. Jews are all black, and they were always black. The Middle East, the Middle Ages, the Spanish Jews have been black. You do know we got samples from that period of time, too. And it's easier to get samples from, 1,000 years ago. It's easier to get samples from that time than, 4,000 or 5,000 years. So let me pull that up real quick. Let's go to this paper here. I want to go to 2 papers because he made a claim earlier. I want to go ahead and clear this up. And again, I will share this paper with the viewing audience so you guys can read this information yourself. That's the importance of these videos, man. I want you guys, if you're going to talk about ancestry, at least attempt to learn something about genetics, because these people are going to put you in a trick bag. They're going to be like Benayah, hit you with the sleight of hand, and throw samples at you and say, yeah, see, this is the answer. We were there. And then you're going to repeat these arguments. And, one of these days, you're going to run into somebody and know what they talk about. They're going to slap you in the face with information. So it's best you just go ahead and do the due diligence, man. So let's close some of these tabs. Let me pull up. Here it is. Here. So this is the supplemental for a recent paper about the Jews of Norwich. See, these guys claim to be the Jews of medieval or direct descendants of the Jews of medieval Europe. And here's the issue. We got the DNA samples of the Jews of medieval Europe. That's the issue. So this is from a paper called Genomes from a Medieval Mass Burial Show Ashkenazi-Associated Hereditary Diseases Predate the 12th Century. Right? And that's on sale. And it's in the chat, so for anybody that's interested in reading the entire article. But I want to go show something about the phenotype of these Jews. So here's the haplogroups. J1A, as we saw with that Egyptian, we saw in Lebanon, we saw J1A there. That this is obviously a Middle Eastern associated haplogroup, Levantine, Bronze Age, associated haplogroup, so mitochondrial haplogroup J1C. So when the Jews say we come from the Middle East, they do have that DNA that ties them back. So mitochondrial J1C, that's can be considered European. H5 is considered European. So these 3 are females. Then you go to this woman here, this man here, E1B1B, this is going to be a descendant of EM 123. And we know that's associated with the Middle East. That's associated with Natufians. And also a famous YouTuber that's also a black Hebrew Israelite has this clade. He has a downstream of EM123. So he actually has a ancient claim to the Levant based off ancient DNA. H is the mitochondrial, which is most likely inherited in Europe. T1A Y chromosome. Again, this is another Middle Eastern haplogroup, male haplogroup. It was found in the Copper Age in Israel, right? And this haplogroup is U6A. So we're going to go down and we're going to go to the phenotypes. See, the probabilities of phenotypes inferred, right? So as you can see, the first individual, SB604, which is the J1A individual, has red hair. Remember, he said that all these people were all the Jews in the medieval times, that they've been lying, they're all black. These people were black. They're redacting from books the truth that they were black. They're Negro and they look like black people. They look West African, whatever that means. But that's the claim, right? They make these phenotypic claims saying all these Jews, Sephardic Jews, all these Jews in the medieval times, this is Norfolk, England, where they found this, will all be black. Now let's see it. Let's just test it against the evidence. Oh, this Jew is pretty much blue-eyed because it's 0.91. That's damn near 100. With red hair, 0.99, damn near 100, and had light hair, 0.94. That don't sound Negroid to me, Anyway, most likely pale to intermediate skin, right? Less likely to be dark skin or dark to black skin. The second individual, SB605, which I believe is the female here, H5C2, was said to be brown-eyed at 93, brown hair, 0.75. So most likely brown eyes, brown hair, dark brown hair, and most likely intermediate skin with a slight chance of 0.29 of being dark skin. So this person could have been intermediate skin or dark skin. So intermediate skin, Yemeni, some of your Latinos had an intermediate skin, very, very light, and could have been a dark skinned person as well. Less likely to be a dark to black skinned person. So this is showing you that this is a variegated group, right? And last but not least, the 676 sample, right? Which is the E1B1B or EM123 sample. And this person is likely to be brown-eyed, has a chance of being blonde hair, but most likely have brown hair. And that brown hair will be light. Also has a chance to be pale skin, but most likely intermediate. So again, this is a variegated group. You have somebody that's most likely pale skin or intermediate with blue and red hair and blue eyes, and light red hair, to some brown hair, intermediate skin peoples. We ain't playing these. I'm reading these old articles shit. We actually can do the phenotypic analysis of the bodies found in the ground, and they don't look like you claim they look. Most likely these people probably look like Ben Baby. Some of them look like red-haired, white, freckled people. That's just the reality of it with blue eyes. So hold on, let's look up some examples of maybe what we're describing here. So let me go to Google, and then let me type in Ben Baby. Ben Baby. I love going to Ben Baby. So maybe some of them look sort of like Ben Baby. You understand? Maybe Vivek. Maybe some of them look a little like Vivek Ramaswamy. Maybe some of them had that skin tone. And some of them just redhead, saying with blue eyes, which, is diametrically opposed to that saying someone's Negro, right? Red hair, blue eyes, let's type it in, see what we got. There you go. I think Scarlett Johansson is red hair, blue eyes. I think she's Jewish too. Correct me if I'm wrong in the chat. So you had some Jews that look like this. This is before the 12th century, by the way. This is before the 12th century. Y'all claim to be the Jews, or claim that all the Jews during that time were Negroid. According to y'all, they were Negro. They look like African Americans. The proof is not bearing that out. That's the problem. That is the issue here. So, one more thing. Let's go to that paper real quick. And then we'll get back to the video. You're like, nah, man, we want to hear this information. We want to hear facts. We don't want to see empirical data. Put the video back on. It's cool. You know, it's theatrical. You know, at the end of the day, we all want to be entertained. That's why entertainment makes so much money in this country, right? So when we go to the paper and we deal with, let me type it in, EM123. This is the main paper. We were just in the supplementals. The uniparental haplogroup calls for all shape-filled individuals also support genetic affinities to the Near East, in some cases to Ashkenazi Jewish populations. Specifically, Ashkenazi Jews from the majority of the modern carriers for mitochondrial haplogroup H5C2, in particular the back mutation 16304, observed in 3 sisters SB605, 606, and SB671. The Y chromosome haplotype of SB676, E1B1B, is within haplogroup EM34, which is common in Semitic language speakers and has a frequency of 11.7% among Ashkenazim for the parent haplogroup EM12332. And here's the thing. All of this evidence is proving out the fact that the people that claim to be Jews today, they have a actual claim, and they have an actual claim of being connected to the Levant. You know, they have an actual claim to be, because from an ancestral standpoint, they actually have a claim. And these guys ignore it. Oh, they don't belong there. They don't belong in the land. Sounding like Hamas. You know, they don't. No, they have these components, right? And they don't look Negro. They don't look Negro. So, whatever that's worth, because you guys love skin colors. You guys are infatuated with skin color. That's your DNA test for the most part. And if that's your DNA test, you're going to be very, very disappointed because, again, I don't see the evidence of these people having large groups looking African American, like you said in the video, are looking Negro. It says similarly, the parent subclades SB604 J1A and SB696 T1A are particularly associated with Levantine ancestry. Again, I will put this paper in the chat so you guys can read it yourself. You know? So let me get this straight. Most of the information that we're bringing out is validating and verifying Jews, modern Jews, you know, and it's not supporting your idea of some kind of Negro utopia that existed, you know, in the Middle Ages, where all of the Sephardic Jews would be considered Negro or dark. Anyway, or not just dark, because we just explained that this EM123 individual would have been intermediate. And the one of the females would have been intermediate with a chance of being dark skin, but not dark to black skin, right? Again, looking like a bunch of Vivek Ramaswamis and some Ben babies, man. Looking like Yemenis. That's what they would have looked like in the Middle Ages. Anyway, you know, they didn't look like this. You know, this would not have been a common look amongst Jews in the Middle Ages. There's no evidence of it. But that's what he's claiming.
you want to know if your DNA
Hold on,
matches
hold on. We got to go
ancient
back, man. Let
DNA?
me rewind that so we can define it. Look at this claim he just made. He just slides it in there. DNA discovered. They still making these same. Benayah, you are a liar, man. You intend to deceive the people. You have no proof that E1B1A was found in ancient Israel. You have none. Zero. And again, this is why I had to stress earlier on the claim of the SFI-43 sample that was found in Lebanon. He tried to associate that with E1B1A when that's a female with a T marker, a mitochondrial T marker, which African Americans do not have. It's probably less than 1% prevalence in African American groups. But you're claiming that's somehow anciently ancestrally tied to you. It's not. But here's the claim right here. So you guys can't say you're misappropriate or you're mischaracterizing his argument. It's on the stream. He's claiming that DNA discovered in Israel's E1B1A. Ron Dalton made the same damn claim, and it's all false. They did not find E1B1A in ancient Israel.
Do you want to know if your DNA matches ancient DNA discovered in Lebanon from around 567 BC? Well, if you've taken DNA tests with companies such as Ancestry DNA or 23andMe, you can download your DNA data from those companies and upload your data to mytrueancestry.com. MyTrueAncestry.com will compare your DNA to ancient DNA extracted from archaeological sites all around the world. Now, prices may vary based on the number of archaeological sites you wish to compare your DNA to. And no, we're not associated with My True Ancestry. However, if you want to know your story, if you want to know if you're related to ancient human remains discovered in and around Israel before the time of the Messiah, then upload your DNA today. And not only might you find your literal family gravesite in Israel, you also might discover you have a family gravesite in Granada, Spain. But first, let's review how the brews got to Spain in the first place. It was indeed the beginning of the time of the Gentiles. The descendants of Rome burned the Most High Yah's holy city to the ground. Nothing was spared.
All right, so this is something I want to address in the video, and this is going to hurt the feelings of most Black Hebrew Israelites. You can't claim to be Jews that were in Rome or were a part of the fall of Judea at 70 AD. Here's the reason why. Here's some logical reasons why that does not jive. Because most of y'all made the claim that, we are part of the Israelites that, the Assyrians came and displaced after the conquest. So majority of y'all would have to stick to that claim in order for it to be logically cohesive. But it's logically incoherent when you say, we were part of the tribes, the Assyrians that, they displaced us, and then we somehow made it all the way to West Africa, Chad Basin, Nigeria, certain places over there. Well, that would have been way before this event. And to keep it logically cohesive and logically coherent, you would have to also say that if you are those Israelites that were kicked out during the time of the Assyrians, then you also have to say, I had nothing to do with the majority and construction of the Torah. You would have to say that because the majority of the construction of the Torah happens after that period. You would have to say that. And y'all not going to admit to that. So which one is it? Are you a sect of Jews or Israelites that got kicked out by the Assyrians and then somehow migrated to Western Africa? Or are you the Jews that got expelled in AD 70 or whatever claim you guys are making? Which one is it? It can't be both. You know? Exactly, Ezra. If you're claiming to be a part of an African diaspora or a Jewish diaspora that happened during the Assyrian time, then you would have to admit that you were not there for most of the construction of the Torah. You were not there for the time of the kingdom of Judea. You would not be there. And I was like, why hasn't nobody sat down and thought this shit out? You know, you would have to be like 1,000 years removed before this point in time. But no, Black Hebrew Israelites don't logically think things out and work things out. Everything's about a spectacle. Everything's about what he's doing here. Make it theatrical. He's not proving none of this stuff. He's just showing you clips. He's not proving any damn thing. He's just throwing out claims. It's spaghetti hitting the wall. Whatever sticks, it sticks. But think about it. What are you saying? What is the claim? What's the crux of your claim? If you're saying you are of the expelled group, then damn it, be the expelled group. Then you turn around and say, no, I was there on 70 AD. What? And then you invoke the Yoruba DNA. That DNA is older than 70 AD. That's the issue you run into. So how do you explain that? We know West Africa was populated after the Bronze. We know that. So you're going to run into issues. How do you possibly say that your ancestry stems back to 70 AD Judea? How? Make it make sense. That's not Igbo. We know that the ancestors of Igbos were in Nigeria prior to that. You can't get around that. We were clearing forests. We were establishing early state formation during that time. Which one is it? We're in the Chad Basin already. How do we know that? Material culture. That's how we know it. We start seeing these places start to get densely populated after 2000 BCE. That's how we know it. We see the antecedents of yap carriers coming from the north, migrating south. This happened way before AD 70. So somebody explain this to me. If you're going to make the Israelite claim, at least try to make a damn succinct argument. Anyway, I'm done. I could rant on that for 10 hours. I promise you. Make the timeline make damn sense. At least attempt. This is lazy. This is what we call indolent.
And not one stone was left upon another. The blood of Judah and Jerusalem ran through the streets. 2/3 would perish by the fire and the sword, and 1/3 would go into captivity. As spoken by Hamashiach, the prophecy had come to pass. Then let them which are in Judea Flee into the mountains, and let them which are in the midst of it depart out. And let not them that are in the countries enter thereinto. For these be the days of vengeance, that all things which are written may be fulfilled. And so the brews were taken to Spain and Portugal by King Nebuchadnezzar of Babylon and General Titus of Rome. Both groups of brews were royal blood descendants of King David. As the following reference reads, and it reads, the Spanish Jews maintained that they had been transported hither after the destruction of the temple by the Babylonian conqueror Nebuchadnezzar. And the next reference reads, the Roman governor of Spain begged the conqueror of Jerusalem to send him some noble families from the capital of Judea, and Titus complied with the request. So we see the footsteps of the sons of King David made its way to Spain and Portugal, where they lived for over 1,000 years. Ironically, it's here in Spain and Portugal where we witness an amazing...
See, so they lived for 1,000 years. So why, when we look at the medieval composition of the people there in Spain and Portugal, in Europe period, like we just brought up the Norwich, England paper, it does not stream antecedents of African American. It just doesn't do that. None of those papers stream that. Right? Oh no, they're Negro. So let's get another source, man. Let's just get another source. Let's read about this. Because this is something that's been confused. They're dark skin. They have dark skin relative, as we brought out earlier, that one of those samples may have been dark skin. Not dark to black skin, but dark skin. So what that means is you did have Jewish groups and Jewish people that will be considered to be dark skinned. That's it. Does not mean that they're going to look like Tyrone, man. Which is, oxymoronic, because Tyrone is actually a Gaelic name, but that's a whole nother bag, right? Let me just go to this book here, The Jewish Body and History, Jewish Culture and Context, right? And within this book, let me pull it up. We're going to deal with this claim, because everything has to conform to their ideology, that racial purist ideology, that everybody that's called Jew in times past has to be these dark-skinned, salients. It's just not true. So here's the book here. Hopefully you guys can see that. Again, the book is The Jewish Body, a History, Jewish Culture, and Context, and we are on page 27. Let's deal with the subject of skin color here. It says, together with the nose, an additional stereotype made its appearance early on in the written in visual sources. The reputed swarthiness of the Jews as far back as the 12th century. Remember, the DNA of the Jews from Norwich, England is before the 12th century. It says the unusual skin color is considered a distinguishing feature, and as noted above, this external characteristic of a Jew was emphasized by Scoot. The catalog of signs used to describe others from the late Middle Ages on includes the color black. When gypsies made their first appearance in Western Europe in the early 15th century, chroniclers described them as black like the Tartars. Which is funny, because are y'all going to claim the gypsies now? Like all gypsies look, like African Americans. Like, stop it. And what does an African American look like? All of this shit is confusing to me. All of it. You know what I mean? No, I don't. Ugly black people. This description prompted Johann Christoph Wagenseil, one of the most prominent early modern Judaic scholars, to wonder if the gypsies might be of Jewish descent. That view, however, is countered in Zettler's Universal Lexicon of 1749, where we read that the skin color of the Jews, which from the waning of the Middle Ages onward was usually described as dark, was nevertheless not black. So they only go to the part, like the quotes, which this book does deal with, that seems to say, oh, they're dark. Okay, yeah, a lot of people are dark, but that does not necessarily or mean that they look like the images he showed in this video. You know, many of these people did not have straight. I mean, did not have coarse hair. Many of these people have straight hair. Some of these people have red hair. Some of these people have blue eyes. Some of these people were indeed pale, but you did have some dark and intermediate skinned Jews. That has been bared out with the genetic facts. We showed the phenotypic analysis of the Norwich, England individuals. And in prior episodes, we showed the phenotypic analysis of the early Levantine peoples, which would have included intermediate, which was the most pervasive. Like 60 or 70% of the samples were intermediate. Then you had some dark skin. You had some dark to black skin, which was less pervasive. Pale skin was there, but it was rare. You know, again, skin color is not going to give you ancestry. And these people are not going to look like these images that y'all talking about. You're going to upset. You're just going to make yourself upset. Again, these people probably look like they Arab counterparts today. So I showed you Ben Baby. Vivek, he's not Arab, but he's Indian, but same concept. Dark skin, straight hair, dark hair, whatever. It is what it is. It says here, Jewish tradition took a similar view as Mishnah tractate on leprosy shows. Rabbi Ishmael says, the children of Israel, I am their atonement. They are like box tree, not black and not white, but intermediate, which again, genetics is bearing it out. Like many of those people in Hamas, you see the images of Hamas. Some of these medieval Jews would look like those people. Matter of fact, let me get that image real quick. Let me get that image. Let me pull it up real quick. Let me just type in Hamas. I can get a good image of the soldiers. You know, this is a great example of intermediate skin right here. Oh, we lost some viewers. Oh, he's not teaching that they were all black. He's not teaching that they look like modern African Americans. You know, they got to click on the video then. So, you know, great example. They probably look like this. You know, intermediate skin tone, brown eyes, brown hair. And then you had your red skin, you know, your red hair and blue eye variation of Jews as well during that time, as we read earlier. You know, they most likely look like their Arab relatives, man. I mean, we have modern day examples. Most likely, they did not look like Tyrone, man. You know, they did not look like, you know, what's that dude name? Red Fox. It looked like Red Fox, man. And it looked like Wesley Snipes. I'm sorry. Sorry, not sorry. You know, facts over feelings. Let's get back to the video.
Amazing transformation of the sons of King David. It's here that the sons of King David transformed themselves into a people called Negroes. It began when a Brew and his family and their descendants began calling themselves Negroes in the 11th and 12th centuries. And yes, these are the Negroes, as prophecy states, who are scattered to the four corners of the world.
Make way for the blues, make way. The royal blues coming through today. Sons of the week, don't forget. Coalition for your king, be redeeming. Let the Bible say what this wicked world decrees of people trodden down, who they always want to keep beneath. But the time has come for all those in the world to see the chains being broken. Spirit, mind, soul set free. A Negro. I said, come on, what's that to my Negroes? Praise the Most High, cause we's about to go. Once they found out more about these Negroes, said a Negro. I said, come on.
These niggas that made a Negro theme song and they put Como Estas in there, man. Because, they believe that they these Spanish Jews. That, what will they think of next? Kids say the darnest things, Yeah, Derek Mason. These middle-aged Jews would not have looked like Shabba Ranks. They just said the Negroes, the Negro.
Once they found out more about these Negroes in 1492, Ferdinand and Isabella issued an edict to expel the Jews. They were banished from Portugal and Spain, and for their faith they were treated inhumane. This kicked off the Atlantic slave trade. Our history they try to erase. This fulfilled Deuteronomy 28. Every single curse is black Hebrews living every day. Are hidden Hebrews in every nation. We are hidden Hebrews in every nation.
And now, let's review what we've learned so far. Let's review how to properly research Negro DNA. If you want to find DNA of the so-called Negro in ancient Israel and the Middle East, look at the old bones. Or if you want to find DNA of the so-called Negroes in Spain and Portugal, look at the old bones. And compare your DNA to the ancient DNA extracted from archaeological sites from around the world. And when you do this using your very own DNA, you may just discover that it was your forefathers who lived in Israel and Lebanon during the times of old.
See, again, the Lebanon samples does not conform to that statement. Does not prove that your forefathers lived in Lebanon and Israel during that time. It doesn't. There's a totally different group. We already went through that, right? Now let's go with the Portugal, because he said, "Oh, just look into the Portugal and the ancient digs and the DNA they found there." Again, ancientdna.info, great tool. Anybody want to deal with this? You want to deal with ancient samples? That's test what he said. Our African American ancestors, by and large, found in ancient Portugal. Well, let's see. G, we got haplogroup G here. So the tail twins, their ancestor G2A was actually in Europe for a long time. That's 5,000 years ago. Let's see. Haplogroup H2 there, 5,000 years ago in Portugal. Again, around that same time. Another H sample, some haplogroup I. This is all European, man. So I guess he's talking to the African Americans that descend from Western European males, white men, by the way. Some through, their ancestors may have, loved, their African compatriots, or it could have been the other word, forced sexual relations. Either way, that's the only way you can connect to these people because they're highly European. RM269, RL51. This is all European. Look, X2B, J1C1 on the mitochondrial side. European, haplogroup H, European as well. Some RP312. These are all the ancient samples, 3,500 years ago, 3,400 years ago. So I'm not seeing what he's talking about. I don't know how any of this connects to African Americans by and large. Now you do have European component. Are you talking about those that actually descend from these people that are European? Then that would make sense. K1A there, 6,000 years ago, H1, J, H1, T2B in Portugal. There's a lot of Eurasian markers here. Let's see if we can find some L. U5, B1, H3, 3,000 years ago. So that claim, I don't get it. I don't get it. Oh, no, we need some more recent. You want some more recent DNA? That's going to be mostly fucking European, man. I don't, easily falsifiable. Anyway, here we go.
And you may also discover that it was your forefathers who lived in the hometown of the sons of King David himself. in Granada, Spain.
Now he does have a point here because you do see E1B1A there. But here it is. It's information in isolation. So watch this. So let's type in Spain. You're probably, man, oh, you keep stopping the video. We really here to watch this video. Right? Look. So you type in Spain. You do see an E1B1A marker here. It's one of these. But most of it, look, most of the clades there in Spain are EM78. That's North African. E1B1B. EM132 is also found there, E1A. EZ1231, also E1B1B. So the majority of the samples found are North African or E1B1P. Okay. EL19, EM81, a bunch of E1B1B. And here's your E1B1A. This is what he's talking about, Granada. One sample. So we ignore all the rest of the people. Yeah, fuck them. They don't count. Focus on this one sample. And this is what this religiosity arguments tend to do this, where you become very, very narrow-minded. You tune out the rest of the evidence to try to make these claims. Look at all these other groups. We get one E1B1A sample, then that's supposed to be chief and reign over all the rest of them. What about these other groups? Which many of these Sephardic Jews, which we do have a paper on the Sephardic Jews and their DNA, they match those E1B1B markers. They match the J markers. Watch this. Sephardic Jews, Portugal. Oh, y'all hate what I typed in. Hold on real quick. Before we can do that, I typed in Sephardic Jew. Y'all would hate this. Look at that. Oh, them ain't the real Jews. Them the fake Jews. Why? Because they white. And again, I told y'all, Black Hebrew Israelites are openly racist. Openly racist. Then the fake Jews in that picture right there. You know, look at that. You know, how you know they're fake? Oh, because look at them. They're white. The real Jews are black. And this is the line of argumentation that these guys give you. All right, so let's go back here. Let me find this paper real quick. Oh, I didn't even type it in there. Hold on. My DNA. Right there. Portuguese crypto Jews. The genetic heritage of a complex history. Let's see. Let's see if this is going to comport with their idea of this total Negro race. I think we read this before. They got their white chromosome haplotype. I think it's a lot of R here. Yeah, we brought this out before. Y chromosome is Sephardic Portuguese Jews. R1BM269, IM70G, E1B1BM81, as well as the Middle Eastern influence denoted by a J12F2. So again, like that does not reflect African American ancestry at all. These are different groups. R1BM269 largely Western European, which some African Americans do have. You have some G markers in E1B1B, which is a very small percentage of African Americans that do have this. And J is very, probably less than 1% of African Americans that have J. Again, this does not represent African American ancestry at all. I don't know how do you make this represent African. These are all different male groups. They don't have too much to do with African Americans. Again, you can read this article on your own. I'll put it in the link. I'll put it in the chat. So anybody that's interested can read it. Put it here.
Granada, Spain. was considered the hometown of the sons of King David. In fact, it was their second place of residence after first settling in Seville, Spain. As the following reference reads, King Alonso, whence we may learn, if we can believe it, that the king of Spain, who had assisted Nebuchadnezzar in reducing Jerusalem, brought an enormous population into Spain, all from either the family of David or at least from the tribe of Judah, and that the royal family resided first in Seville, then in Granada, adding that the exiles afterwards had their numbers greatly increased by the fugitives from the desolation of the Second Temple.
Wait a minute, who would be these fugitives of the second, after the desolation of the Second Temple? Who would be these people? These people be highly European. Highly European. Why? Because the Jews, they fled into European communities after this period. Many of them fled. They fled into Italy. They fled into Macedonia. They fled there. We know they were already there prior to this, because why? We can go to Paul's. Let's type in Paul's journey on a map to show you. This is Paul's journey on a map. In modern day Jews, their DNA is the proof of this, man. That's why I love showing this map. Open image, new tab. This is Paul's journey. Look at that, Cappadocia, Galatia. That's in modern. This is all modern day Turkey, ancient Anatolia stuff, right? Thrace, Macedonia. You see these churches. There's Jews here, right? Delphi, Corinth. Where's Corinth? This is Southern Europe. There's Jews. These are Southern Europeans, man. That's why modern Jews today, like 40% of the autosome is Southern European. It makes sense. This will be the route they took. After Judea fell, you had waves of migrants that, eventually left the Levant and went towards Europe. It says here, Paul preaches the gospel for 2 years under house arrest as he waits for his appeal to Caesar. He did that in Rome. And of course, Paul is born in Tarsus, which is in Anatolia, right? This makes sense. It's right here. The Levant's here, and Europe is north to it. So this makes complete sense. Antioch's over here in Syria. Then you go up. Tarsus, Iconium, another Antioch, Phrygia. This is all Asia Minor. Then he makes his way to Corinth, which is obviously Southern Europe. Philippi, which is Macedonia. The island of Crete. It says his ship was lost somewhere around Malta. Then he goes into Sicily. I mean, come on, bro. Come on, man. you guys are done. I don't know what else to say to y'all. None of the evidence supports any of your claims. So, I mean, the Jews on the right side of history on this one. I'm sorry. Again, how are you going to be claiming to be the Assyrian deportees, and you made your way into West Africa, and that's the origin of Yoruba and Akan and Eastern and all these other things, all these other claims, and then also want to be the Jews that get expelled in 70 AD? That's, you don't see why that's a disparity. You don't see why that's problematic. And again, we know where these Jews went. We know where a lot of these Jews went. Not all, but there's migrants going in Europe. And they've been there for a minute and mixing with the European population. What do you think they look like? That's why they don't live with it. They don't look similar to their genetic cousins, many of them today. They mix with the European populace, but they share the same common male ancestry with many of those Arabic people that live in the Palestine region now. Simple stuff to understand.
And the next reference reads the numerous Spanish Jewish family of Nasi. Now keep in mind that Nasi is an alternate name for Yaya Negro. So it reads, Nasi or Yaya Negro also traced back its pedigree to King David and proved it by means of a genealogical table and seals. Skipping ahead, a family tradition runs to the effect that the Roman governor of Spain begged the conqueror of Jerusalem to send him some noble families from the capital of Judea, and that Titus complied with the request. Now, we know the famous numerous Yaya Negroes, or Nasi family, moved into Africa based on Sephardic Hebrew grave sites found in Africa, and based on Brew surnames in Sephardic dictionaries, which list the geographic locations where the Sephardic Hebrew name found. Family. Why were the sons of King David living in Granada, Spain? What was so special about that particular city? Perhaps it was because the city of Granada was given solely to the Brews by the Muslims. In fact, Granada was called Jews' Town, as the following reference reads. It reads, Granada was entrusted to the Jews alone, and for this reason, it came to be known at the commencement of the Arab Dominion in Spain by the name Jews' Town. And today, we have African Americans matching the old bones, the ancient DNA extracted from Jews' Town, from an archaeological site which dates to around 950 AD, during the early years of the Arab Dominion in Spain, in the hometown of the sons of King David. Family, did you see what happens when you combine your history with your DNA? Well, let's see how you can use your very own DNA to prove you are Judah. When reviewing your DNA, you need to be familiar with history. If old references state that large numbers of Jews were sent to Africa, then we should expect a large part of your DNA to match modern-day African populations. As the following reference reads, Barbert states that in the reign of King John II, and about the close of the 15th century, large numbers of Jews were expelled from Portugal and taken to the coast of southern Guinea and the next. But perceiving how many perished in the attempt and that they could better agree with the continent on the coast of Guinea, it was resolved by King John II of Portugal that all the Jews within his dominion, which were vastly numerous, should be obliged to receive baptism or upon refusal be transported to the coast of southern Guinea. And the next reference reads, King John II in 1492 expelled all the Jews to the island of St. Thomas, which had been discovered in 1471, and to other Portuguese settlements on the continent of Africa. And from these banished Jews, the Black Portuguese, as they are called, and the Jews in Luango, who are despised even by the very Negroes, are descended. And so, with large numbers of Jews fleeing to Africa, we should expect a large percentage of our DNA to match places in Africa. In fact, so-called African American DNA, E1B1A.
All right, so y'all just got bombarded with a bunch of pseudo crap. So let's talk about some of these Jews that went to Africa, because there are physical descriptions of these Jews, and they don't match what he's saying. And that's the thing. What they have is an omission of facts as well, not just them, muddying the waters or just flat out lying to his audience. They also omit or ignore anything that says the opposite or say anything that contradicts their claim. So we also have historical claims, as we read earlier, that the Jewish historian will admit that, yeah, there are dark-skinned Jews, but it's not to say they look like someone said earlier, Shaba ranks, anything like that. So from there, let me share my screen here. Let me share this book here real quick, because we did this, the Forgotten Diaspora. We read the entire book on the channel, and there's a few physical descriptions of the Jews that were sent into Western Africa that he's talking about. Many of which would have been Sephardic Jews. Now they did mix with the locals, and their children and progeny did become darker and darker and look like the locals. So no one's arguing that. But to sit up here and claim that they always been Negro, and again, we showed you the DNA, a genetic profile of ancient Spain in medieval Spain. During that time, you had mostly North African, Berber Jews. You had West European markers there, one E1B1A marker, and he hyper focused on that, and again, omits everybody else. So if Granada is a Jewish town, what about the other haplogroups that are there, the other paternal ancestors that we find there? Again, they just omit everything, man. Why? Because it does not support the racial purist view that everybody in that time that they want to call Jew had to be Negro, right? Or, whatever the hell he means by that. So with that being said, let me share this book with you guys. And if you guys been following, you guys will hear when I read this. So this is the Forgotten Diaspora by Peter Mark, page 57 to 58. And it talks about a report pretty much snitching on the Jews that were trading in Western Africa. And with this anonymous report, it gives a description of who these people were. It says the anonymous report continues with a detailed description of commerce southward as far as Joal. In this port, Joal, there are many white men. White men. They want all the references to say, no, they Negro. They black like Tyrone. They look like the brother says, Shaba ranks. No, these are white men. They probably look like Ethan Hawke or something, man. All of the Hebrew nation. And they trade with these foreigners, and some of them travel to Flanders on their ships, and they return to these parts with the said foreigners. You can continue to read this. I read this book in its entirety on the channel, but the point is, you have historical writings that this was in 1612, right? He's claiming that these Sephardic Jews who went to West Africa were all Negro or Negroid and heavily Africoid, and they would look like African Americans today. That is not true. That's not true. And the data is against that. The claim that they're this all homogenous group and they would all look like Yoruba and Igbo, that's just crazy, nonsensical BS. There's other historical documents that show and prove that these people were not all Black Negroes. All right, come on, man. We got to get it together. Too many holes in this, man. Right, let's share this again. Let's get back to the Walt Disney production by Benayah.
Is predominantly found in high concentrations in Africa in just 2 places. That's right, family. In the first place of high concentration of African American DNA is found in the place where the Portuguese Jews lived, in great numbers. As the following reference reads, in 1620.
There's a sleight of hand again, man. We never gonna get through this video because it's too much trickery, too much pseudo, and too much lying going on. He said, "Oh, the Portuguese Jews, like we just read, was in Senegambia, right? Oh, Negro Jews DNA is there, which most likely is going to be E1B1A or some E variant, right? Oh, it was all the way there, in high frequency, high pervasiveness. There's a lot of African DNA here. Duh, it's in Senegambia. That's not saying much. That's just like saying I'm in the ocean. It's wet here. Duh, it's the ocean. Duh, we expect to see high prevalence of African DNA in Senegambia. This guy, it's one of two things going on right here. He's either remedial, I know what I mean by remedial, or he just flat out lying and he's being deceptive. So you guys make a decision.
To the Cape Verdean governor, Dom Francisco de Moura, reported to the Portuguese king that the Guinea coastal rivers were full of Jews who were masters of the local region and were quite independent of the crown. The Portuguese Jews settled in great numbers in the area of Senegal and Guinea-Bissau, which is the area of the highest concentration of E1B1A in Africa, or at least one of two places of high concentrations of E1B1A. The second place of high concentration of African American DNA in Africa can be found in a territory called the Kingdom of Judah, and the territory of Banbara and Lamlam above it. And oddly enough, old writers describe the inhabitants of this territory as Jews. As the following reference reads, the land of Lamlam, inhabitants. According to the accounts of the people of the neighboring countries, the natives of Lamlam are Jews. Skipping ahead, the people of Salah and Beersheba and Tukur make predatory incursions into the land of Lamlam and carry away its inhabitants captive to their own countries, where they are purchased by the merchants who travel thither and who transfer them to other countries. And the next reference reads, east of the Great Popo begins the Dahomey territory, guarded by the important town of Gliga, known to Europeans by the various names of Fida, Wida, Wida, Wida. The old writers called it Judah, and its inhabitants were said to be Jews.
All right, let's pause it there because he made some more pseudo claims. First of all, no one can contest that there were Jews post-colonial. Now, no one can contest that. Everybody knows that it has some sense of historicity on their side. So we know they were there. The problem is you're trying to say the minority constitutes the whole, which is a fallacy. No, there's minority Jewish groups in West Africa. Yes. Were they absorbed into the population? Yes. Did they mix with the women there? Yes. Does that mean everybody there is Sephardic Jews? No. What do these people look like from the onset, coming from Southern Europe? What do you expect people coming from Southern Europe to look like during this time period? Most of them would have been pale-skinned peoples. Hold on, let me go back. Let's get another reference. You know what I'm saying? We got a lot of bullets in this FN. So watch this. So let's go back to Peter Mark's book and read it from another page. This is from 117. Page 117 of the Forgotten Diaspora Jewish Communities in West Africa to make it the Atlantic World. The Senegalese context of African-European relations. It says here, the specific Senegalese context, notably a tradition of landlords who welcome foreign traders, may explain the decision of local rulers to protect their Jews. So we're going to get a physical description of these Jews or these landlords. But also the Cape Verdean trader Andre Alvarez de Almada's narrative of 1594. Oh, I skipped something here, including Sebastião Fernando Cacal's description from circa 1608, as well as the testimony given before the Vicar of Cachal in 1612, but also Cape Verdean trader Andre Alvarez de Almada's narrative of 1594 clearly indicates that the Jews of Porto de Ale enjoyed a measure of protection against Portuguese Christians, according to Almada. So there were Native Africans protecting Jews. Okay, it says in the neighboring state of Salem, and Burr Salem, what was called by his people Opai dos Broncos. What does that mean? The father of the white men. That's how they were described. These are these Iberian Jews that Benayah are talking about or referencing to and saying, oh, no, these are all Africans. These are all black, dark Africans like Wesley Snipes. No, that's not historically accurate. It says here, this title corresponded to a political tradition according to which the king had the duty to personally assure protection of the white men whom he called os meus brancos, my white men. I mean, what y'all want from me, man? I'm gonna tell you the truth. You understand? I'm gonna give you the empirical data at the end of the damn day. Not cherry picking sources, because that's what Black Hebrew Israelites teach you. Benayah teach you to cherry pick sources, pick the sources that sound like they agree with you, and ignore everything else. Or try to make some kind of esoteric reading of this. Like, get the fuck out of here. Anyway, we almost done. Let me go back to the video.
American DNA is found in places where the Portuguese settled, and
I'm sorry. That is so fucking stupid. I'm starting to lose patience here. Duh, you're going to find high prevalence of African DNA in Western Africa. I mean, duh.
the kingdom of Judah. All right, family. Let's briefly discuss modern-day DNA reports that most people use today. Modern-day DNA reports often show the percentages of DNA ancestry contained within a person's DNA. For example, an Ancestry DNA or 23andMe DNA report could show someone as 50% Nigerian or 30% Cameroonian. However, these reports are missing a critical value which hides your true identity. These reports are missing a value called genetic distance. In general, genetic distance shows the similarity of your DNA compared to another person's DNA. The lower the genetic distance value, the more similar the two DNA samples are. For example, a mother and a daughter would have an extremely low genetic distance value compared to a mother and a distant cousin. The lower the genetic distance value, the better. A company named GEDmatch provides these types of genetic distance reports. In other words, we can use GEDmatch to find your most closely related DNA groups. Your DNA groups with the lowest genetic distance values. For some so-called African Americans, the groups with the lowest genetic distance values are places where the Jews once lived.
Again, you know, you think most of the Jewish women look like this lady right here? You think that's what the women look like? Anyway, the claim he just made was just confabulation. That's the best way I could put it. First of all, trying to use GEDmatch to make a claim of direct ancestry is off because the GEDmatch is basically looking at the autosome of people. Now, he's right about genetic distance. The smaller that number is, the more closely related you are to that group. But again, this is a circular argument. He's using African groups in West Africa and say, oh, we're close to West Africans. Oh, they were in Senegambia. The Jews were in Senegambia. We're close to the people in that region. Oh, therefore we're the Sephardic Jews. That is idiocy. You're close to those people in that region because you're related to Sub-Saharan Africans, not because you're related to Sephardic Jews, which were Southern European and Levantine peoples, autosomally speaking. Right? You do not match with Sephardic Jews by and large. You match with local West Africans. That's it. You know, that's why you're getting those close genetic distances. Let's let it play. More theater.
Let's review some additional ways you can use your DNA to prove you are from the house of Judah. A good place to start would be to take the Ancestry DNA test. Once Ancestry DNA analyzes your DNA, you will get back a DNA report which looks similar to the report shown on the screen. This is where we combine history with your DNA results. Let's use my DNA report for example. Note that my report shows small DNA matches in Portugal, France, and England, less than 5%. However, these are all places from which the Jews were expelled, as the following.
So here's my thing. So if we pull up, let's pull up a European's autosomal admixture, and let's just make the same claim he's making with that. Let's pull up white American ancestry genetic results. Let's just make the same. Hold on. Look. Oh, this person right here. He's got Belgium. Hold on. Let's share this. This person has Belgium, Denmark, Scotland. Oh, there's Jews in Denmark, right? England. Oh, we already read the paper about the Jews in Norwich. So this person automatically a fucking Jew, according to what he just said. Based off his logic, this person's automatically a Jew. What about this person here? Let's go down here. Let's go down. Oh, these are all places where Jews were. We can all play this damn game. Sweden, Scotland, Wales, England. Let's go here. Italy. There were Jews in Italy. You know, these are all places where Jews came from. Maybe if I did a video and showed these DNA reports and I put music behind it and made it very theatrical, right? Put splash screens in every 5 seconds. Maybe then I could sell this to you, right? I could tell you that, oh, these are all Jews because look at this. Look at that genetics. These are all here you go. Same thing right here. Oh, these are all places Jews. Well, we know Jews were in North Africa. Yes. We know Jews were in the Iberian Peninsula. Yes. So, we know they were in Italy. Paul was in Rome. We know they were in Central South. You see how silly this shit is? Come on, man. We got to do better. This is the goofy shit I be talking about, man.
Reference reads, many Jews also are scattered over this region, some natives boasting themselves of Abraham's seed, inhabiting both sides of the river Niger. Others are Asian strangers who fled thither either from the desolation of Jerusalem by Vespasian or from Judea wasted and depopulated by the Romans, Persians, Saracens, and Christians, or else such as came out of Europe, whence they were banished, out of some parts of Italy in the year 1342, out of Spain in the year 1462, out of the Low Country in 1350, out of France 1403, out of England 1422. These all differ in habit and are divided into several tribes having no dominion, though both wealthy and numerous, but despised of all nations, and so abominated by the Turks that they are not admitted to be Mohammedans unless first baptized. And so the places which the Jews fled from may display as small DNA match percentages, whereas the places where the Jews fled to, such as Africa, show up as large DNA match percentages. This is where GEDmatch comes in. We can use GEDmatch to find your DNA groups with the lowest genetic distance value, which identifies the DNA mix groups you are most closely related to. In other words, GEDmatch can confirm if you indeed have Portuguese, Spanish, English, or French DNA, as confirmed on my GEDmatch genetic distance report. History. The sons of King David.
So again, you heard it here, folks. If you have genetic ancestry tying you to French people, Spanish people, Iberian Peninsula, and England, then you're a Jew. That's all you need. You just need to be related to them. You know, it don't have to be directly, it can be indirectly. You know, so according to Benayah, if you have that on your report, the ancestry report, you're a Jew. This is how silly these people like. You know, Benayah, you're a liar, and you promulgate and promote idiocy on your channel. That's pretty much all you do. Every time I watch one of your videos, I cringe at the amount of disinformation and the amount of idiocy that I have to put my audience through, and I myself have to, suffer through, which most of the times is more than once, because sometimes I watch the damn shit before I do the videos and come with mental notes and see what I need to cover. So, you're putting us through hell trying to go through this because, I got to stop every other minute because this guy is just lying through his teeth, and the fallacious arguments are nonstop. They just go back to back. Anyway.
David's hometown was Granada, Spain, during the Arab Dominion. DNA. My DNA matches ancient DNA remains in Granada, Spain, from 950 AD, during the time of the Arab Dominion.
Now, you guys see the picture on the screen. What these guys won't do, right? Which we do have an E1B1A sample in Granada, Spain. One sample. Most of them are, most likely Berber related, North African related, when we're talking about YAP, and the other ones are West European related. But if you click that eye, you see that eye right there on the screen where it says Ancestral Globe? If you click that eye, it explains to you what you are looking at. Right? Just because you got a red dot on the globe does not mean that's your direct ancestor. And this is what Teo tried to do. And this guy did in another video trying to claim every time you see a red dot on your ancestry report, that's your ancestor. No, this is false. You're just getting these pings because of autosomal DNA, because we are a mixed group of people and we have European admixture as well. So therefore, you're going to see some of our DNA going to the Balkans, some of our DNA going to Northern Europe, some of our DNA tracing back to England. That does not mean you directly descend from somebody. As we brought out earlier, how you prove direct descent is through haplogroups. And the haplogroups are not, helping his case because, again, he went to Lebanon, and that person was not an L marker. That person was a TC2 marker, which is not frequent at all in African Americans or West African communities, female communities. So, it's just weird. Then he tried to say it was E1B1A, which is weird because that was a female. So none of these claims, all of these pseudo claims wither around the edges. Why? Because it's not backed with anything. It's backed with these Black Hebrew Israelite grandiose claims, and nothing can be cemented in truth. Nothing.
History. The Brews were expelled from Spain, and many fled into Africa. DNA. My DNA also shows a close DNA match in Portugal. History. Brews then fled from Castile to Navarre, Spain, which is also called Basque today. DNA. My DNA shows Navarre, Spain, or Basque as a close match. Now, keep in mind that these are just a few examples of how history matches up with DNA. DNA fact. Did you know that the tribe whose DNA most closely matches the so-called African Americans isn't found in West or Central Africa? The people whom you most match are the Limba of South Africa, and another group to be revealed in a later video. Do you know the Limba's oral tradition tells that they belong to the House of Judah, Southern Kingdom, and that they were sent into captivity into Babylon, and that they were part of the family of Seneca who returned back to Jerusalem to help rebuild the walls of Jerusalem. In other words, they lived in Jerusalem. Why would so-called African Americans match DNA of a people who lived in Jerusalem, who are from the House of Judah? Now, Limba oral tradition states that they left Jerusalem and fled south with their wives into Africa. However, that's a story for another day. Check the description of this video for more details to come. Well, family, hopefully you can see that our declaration that we are the House of Judah is based on an abundance of history and fact, and it's overwhelming. Yah willing, we will have a follow-up video to further explore this topic. And with that, fam, please like and share this video. And as always, thank you to those who continue to lift me and my family up in your thoughts and prayers. And thank you to those who continue to like.
This nigga was clearly lying.
Okay, we're done. The video's over with. The propaganda has ceased. Oh my God, I don't know what to say, man. Like, we covered everything he said for the most part. He was wrong about the genetic sample. He was wrong saying that the genetic sample in Lebanon was E1B1A connected to E1B1A in any shape, form, or fashion. We showed the phenotype or the phenotypic analysis of the people that they were closely related to, which was the Egyptian dating almost 3,000 years ago. And it did not look like a Negro at all. The facial reconstruction made him look, North African or white, pale, straight hair. Nothing like, Shaba Ranks, and more, I know you in the building, man. What you got, man? What you got?
Man, you might have to pour yourself like 2-3 fingers out because I'm about to play 5 more minutes of your boy. Because here's the cold part, right? Is what people don't understand about this presentation that in this video that Benayah just put up a couple days ago was it's a chopped and screwed version of a video he put up a couple years ago, right? And so we've covered some of the information from that video before, but it interlaces and interlocks on that mtDNA the T2 whatnot, you know what I'm saying? And so there's some stuff I want to show in there because like you were like either he's lying or he don't know, and no, this nigga was clearly lying, and we can show it, right? You know what I'm saying? And so I'm gonna play 5 minutes of that original video, and then I'm gonna just run through some sources right quick. So go ahead and pour yourself a couple fingers out.
Hey, you got it, man. Show look, you the captain of the ship, man. I'm just here.
Hey, just bring me back a drink. You understand what I'm saying?
You still there, more?
Acting from these sites. And when I started taking a look at these samples, I started to notice the first thing that they did was that they categorized the DNA that they extracted into haplogroups, into groups. And as you can see on the screen, this is a site from ancient Israel, and you can see it says in green E1B1B, and it says E1B1A. That's the DNA of the so-called African American today.
right? The so-called Negro, E1B1A. So what's E1B1A doing in Israel, fam, during ancient times, right? And that's why you have a match.
So first and foremost, he doesn't show this part of the video anymore because we showed him to be 1,000,000% incorrect on this. He was literally claiming, he literally claimed that E1B1A was found in Israel amongst the Natufian samples because he doesn't understand how to read genetic information and whatnot, right? So this in no way, shape, or form says that E1B1A is found in Israel via the Natufian samples. This was saying that E1B1 was found in Israel amongst the Natufian samples, and that it is the parent to both of those haplogroups, and it excludes those haplogroups from this particular finding and whatnot. So it's saying that it found E1B1, which is the progenitor of E1B1A and E1B1B, etc. But that it's not either one of those. It's E1B1. It is now understood to be that to know that to be known that that sample is now E1B1B. So not only is he reading it incorrectly, but it's also out of date information at this juncture. So that needs to be 100% understood. So if you drop down to the next highlighted line where it says E, and it has, again, the parentheses with that X there, right? It says E2, E1A, E1B1A, etc., E1B1B, etc., all those other haplogroups there, right? It's not saying that all those haplogroups were found, fam. That's not what it's saying. It's saying that haplogroup E was found. It's finding like basically like an EM96 or whatnot, something like that of that nature, right? And that underneath that you can find all these other clades that are going to have this particular mutation accumulated with these haplogroups or whatnot. So it's not saying that, for instance, they found E1A, all these other, for instance, I'm E1A, right? It's not saying that, right? It's saying that they found EM96, etc. So I'm gonna let it play a little bit more.
In those areas. It's not just one report, fam. I mean, you can find this in multiple reports associated with these archaeological sites.
Again, he has E1A1 highlighted there. And it's crazy because he's thinking as long as he can show you an E and an A, or E1 or E, a 1 and an A, you're going to think it's all the same thing. No, fam, these are nowhere. They're not next to each other on the he phylogenetic tree, right? Like it's like, so E1A is a cousin, you know what I'm saying, to like E1B1A and E1B1B, but they're not similar subclades. They come from completely different clades of E and whatnot, right?
For example, we reviewed a DNA sample called SFI43, and what we found is that when they analyzed SFI43, they discovered that it was closely related to ancient Egyptians, and it wasn't closely related to the modern day population. Again, you can see, fam, that the bodies and the DNA that's in the ground aren't necessarily matching the modern day populations that are in the area. And that just further proves the point of these modern day populations came in at a later date, right? And that's what's throwing off your DNA reports when you run your DNA today. But again, this report actually matches up with the Lakesh report that we read at the beginning of this session. This DNA report matches up with the Lakesh report that we read at the start of this session. And that is, this report shows that the remains that they found are related to ancient Egyptian. And remember, in the Lakesh report, they also found that those remains in the city of Lakesh also matched up to ancient Egyptians, right? What they termed was Egypto-Nubians. So we're seeing correlation in DNA and in the archaeological study of the skulls. So both the skulls and DNA are matching up. Both the skulls and DNA are matching up to Egyptians or Egypto-Nubians. But they didn't just stop at the Egyptians, right? They didn't just stop at comparing these samples against the Egyptians. They also included the modern day population of Yoruba. And they compared SF543 against the Yoruba population, and they discovered that there was a high match. You can see that as shown in red on the graph. And likewise, you can see the DNA sample highlighted L0. If you don't know, L0 is one of the DNA groups associated with the so-called African American woman. And the DNA groups associated with the African American woman are L0, L1, L2, and L3.
And again, when we look at these reports, we can see L0, L1, L2, or L3. Now, an interesting discovery associated with the DNA has to do with the timing of the matches. Now, remember, these archaeological sites have specific dates that they're associated with. And what we found was that the DNA matches of the so-called African-American only matches during a certain timeline, during a specific timeline, which matches up with the history of the Jews in Spain and Portugal. But in this graph, I simply want to show you that E1B1A, which is the DNA of the so-called African-American male, and also L0 or L1 or L2 or L3 shows up in these ancient remains that are found in either Spain and Portugal or in Israel or in Lebanon. Now, this particular graph has to do with the DNA that was found in Spain and Portugal, right? And I believe this is specifically the DNA that was found in Granada, Spain, right? So on the very bottom, you'll see that there is a timeline, a couple of timelines. On the bottom right, it says 10th to 16th century. And it's important that you know that the Moors conquered Spain in the 711 AD, and they were expelled in 1492, where the Visigoths and the Goths completely took over Spain. Why is that important? Well, that explains the reason why you see this assortment of DNA haplogroups in Granada, Spain. But the one I have highlighted that is E1B-M291, it's on the kind of sort on the bottom right. That is E1B1A. It's just another name for E1B1A. If you look over to the right, you'll see a yellow line with an L2 on the top. And remember, that's the haplogroup of the African American woman, L2, found in Granada, Spain, right? All right, fam. Well, let's review. If you want to know your true identity using your DNA, simply compare your DNA.
All right, man, I'm gonna stop giving the homie a headache right quick because I know the level of pseudo is hurting his head on this and whatnot. But I'm gonna bring it back to something right quick. So he just showed you a chart of bodies and whatnot and time periods from when these bodies were found, or when these bodies relate to in Spain, etc. whatnot, right? So what he didn't do, and this is something that Benayah is famous for doing, is he likes to show you a bunch of papers and then he won't show you the title of one of them. He'll cover it up, or he'll cover up a website name, something like that, and show you some information, just a couple of pieces of information, but not all the information there. Because if you take all the information there, it throws a bucket of cold water on what he's saying, fam. So let me just go ahead and stop sharing this right quick and start sharing my screen a little bit. Because yeah, we was talking early about this in this week, you know what I'm saying? And OG was gonna go live tonight. We were gonna go do this tomorrow, so I was getting some bullets ready, whatnot. But my G said, "Nah, we finna go shoot tonight." So we finna go shoot tonight. So then we finna shoot. So Benayah Israel's DNA model. One E1B1A is the Negro Israelite Y DNA haplogroup, and L0 through L3 are the Negro Israelite mtDNA haplogroups. This is something that he gets from the Darbyite doctrine, to where E1B1A, that all African Americans are E1B1A, and that is the Israelite DNA, and that Lembas have E1B1A, and that's the Cohen concept, right? That's the Cohen gene. Now he doesn't say that anymore, right? Because that's been proven to be false or whatnot. But he tries to prove the same links. He was like, "Oh, so you have the closest genetic distance to the limbo and whatnot." That's because in these calculators that are used, we, out of all the other African groups out there, the African American and whatnot, has more European admixture than they have any other African group and whatnot. Along with, like, so the Lemba have a high amount of European admixture. We have a high amount of European admixture. So we come up closest in that concept. It's not a direct lineage concept, right? Because as we know that the Lemba carry a lot of haplogroup J with them. And we don't even know if they carry the same E1B1A that African Americans hold, right? They just want you to think that it's all one clade. No. There's so many different E1B1As. It's not even funny. It's not even funny. Yes, do they all go back to the same gender? Sure, 100%, right? But you can't act like one clade is the same as the other clade or whatnot. That's something that's got to get pointed out or whatnot, right? But let me go ahead and try to get to this real quick. something that's very key to understand is something that Yeshua was pointing out earlier. I interviewed Benayah whatnot, and this is literally a slide from the interview he gave with me, where he's breaking down the Israelite migration pattern in terms of how Israelites got to West Africa and to the Americas and whatnot, right? So in his concept, there is no migration through Africa. There's none of that, right? There is no east to west migration through Africa, whatnot. Forget what you read in the Timbuktu Annals, all that kind of, none of that happened, fam. None of that happened. He wants to go talk about Jews in Lamb, but he doesn't want to tell you how they got there. He's going to tell you they got there like this: that they went from Babylon to Spain to West Africa to the Americas. One more time, from Babylon to Spain to West Africa and then the Americas. And somehow, like the Yoruba, like so now he's claiming that the Yoruba part of this whole thing, right? So now the Yoruba was not in West Africa until after the Portuguese Jews transported so-called Negroes to Spain, to West Africa. This is crazy, fam. This is crazy. Yoruba's gonna look at you all kind of. What you mean we've only been in West Africa for a few hundred years? What you talking about? That's so not their story, fam. But going forward, again, this is something that he does not say anymore because he was proven wrong on this concept, right? E1B1A the DNA found in Israel. No, we just showed that wasn't the case, and he was literally just misreading the information and whatnot, and misreading it badly, like in a novice way, right? In a novice way. Consistently making these claims and whatnot, pulling papers and claiming that these papers are saying something that they never say. Nowhere in this paper, Genomic Insights into the Origin of Farming in the Ancient Near East, does it say E1B1A was ever found in Israel. Not once. Not once. Not once does it say that the SF543 and SF544 specimens were compared to any E1B1A DNA. Nowhere. What he says was, we can see is a connection to the E1B1A Yoruba. First of all, the Yoruba carry more haplogroups than just the E1B1A. First and foremost. But second, we can get into these specimens and find out what haplogroups they had. The male and the female. SF543 is a female. SF544 is a male. And they talk about they're related because they got the same mtDNA. Let's go. We can go find out what that looks like. What's the paternal DNA of SF544? It better be E1B1A. It better be E1B1A. But we're gonna get into that. I already showed this stuff here to where he's misconstruing the letters and whatnot. We'll get into that, right? So we're gonna get into some of these bodies and some other stuff. But we're gonna get into to some of the stuff he talked about. He's not shown anymore, right? A genetic history of the Near East from an ADNA time course, sampling 8 points in the past 4,000 years. We're gonna cite some of the bodies found and whatnot. Hold up, let me get to this right quick. This is what people really need to walk away and understand with this bit right here, right? So my man already broke down the fact. I missed most of the show, but I already know my man broke down the fact that SF543 is T2C1. He had to, you know what I'm saying? I already know he broke down the fact that they're not the same. That's not the same DNA as the Yoruba women. I'm about to show the Yoruba women's DNA here in a second with that, right? But it says here in this study, we then estimated kinship among our samples and found individuals, SF543 female and SF544 male, who lived around 500 BCE during the Iron Age 3 under the Persian rule, were first-degree relatives. And shared the same mtDNA haplogroup, T2C1. I want y'all to remember that mtDNA, T2C1. This is very important because this is a linchpin to killing a certain argument my man's trying to break out or whatnot. So again, 500 BCE. This is the time period where he's saying that Jews came to Spain via the request of a king who wanted some Jewish nobles to live amongst them and whatnot, right? And so via my Benayah's story, he's saying like around like 500 some odd BCE during the time of Nebuchadnezzar or whatnot, like or etc. Or during a captivity, people were brought over here and whatnot. Who got you? They came to Spain, got you. Okay, let's see what they're looking like genetically and whatnot. Let's go through this and whatnot. So he shows you this bit here and wants to cover up some stuff here where it says hair short, black, curly, skull, dolichocephalic, dark skin, Negro, DNA Moors. Is he putting that there just to put it there? Is he putting it there just to put it there? Or is he covering something up? Let's find out. Let's also look at the bottom of this screen right quick, where it says 3rd and 4th century CE, 5th and 8th century CE, and 10th and to 16th century CE. So these are the time periods that these samples are being linked to. What is he not telling you about these samples, family? Well, let's get into it. Let's get into it. Let's get into the studies he's not showing you where this stuff came from and whatnot. Let's get into what they're talking about concerning these studies and whatnot, right? Where it's telling you about these populations and whatnot. In the southeast, we recovered a genomic data from 45 individuals dated between the 3rd and 16th century CE. All the analyzed individuals fell outside the genetic variation of preceding Iberian Iron Age populations and harbored ancestry from both Southern European and North African populations, as well as additional Levantine-related ancestry that could reflect Jewish contributions. Something that should also be noted with this, right? It says gene flow from North Africa continued into the Muslim period, as is clear from Muslim burials with elevated North African and Sub-Saharan African ancestry. And uniparental markers typical of North Africa, not present among pre-Islamic individuals. Present-day populations from Southern Iberia harbor less North African ancestry than the ancient Muslim burials, plausibly reflecting an expulsion of Moriscos, former Muslims converted to Christianity. So no one's denying that there was an expulsion of Spain, or expulsion of Jews. No one's denying there's an expulsion of Moriscos, etc., whatnot. The question is, what do they genetically look like, fam? And what are these samples saying they look like, fam? Oop, hold on, let me go back one. Hold up. First, let me get this picture popping right quick. This is the picture that he covered up and whatnot, right? This is the figure that my man covered up. And I want y'all to pay attention to some stuff here, right? What did he cover up? Because this was this section right here. They found out. So again, there's a couple of different figures here, or a couple of different charts here that we need to dissect, separate, and then understand, right? So it says here in this chart, right? you got from 4,000 to 500 to whatnot, right? And it's talking about the calibration of dates is in BCE. BCE. And then up here on again, he didn't even show you this part of the chart, fam. He scrolled down and cut this part off. It's letting you know what's found on this chart. You're finding females or undetermined with the white dots. In the teal dots, you're getting G2 haplogroup, Y DNA G2. Again, this is a Y haplogroup map. The gray, you're getting H, or like the dark gray, you're getting H or whatnot. The green, you're getting I. The light blue, I2. The dark blue, R1B. R1B. The gray, R1B again. The red, R1B, M269. So let's go do this thing, fam. When you look at this, A, first of all, what don't you see? You don't see E nowhere on that list, right? And what do you see? You see a whole stack of red dots on this joint. You see a whole stack of gray dots on this joint. You see all kind of R1B. Again, look at this, fam. Going back to the again, in between 2,500 and 2,000 on the BCE calibration and whatnot, right? My man didn't want to show you this. What else did he not want to show you? He didn't want to break down what was the actual admixture in the bodies that they found from the 3rd to 4th century, from the 5th to 8th century, and from the 10th to 16th century. He didn't want you to know that there's Sub-Saharan African there, North African, the Levantine, Central Northern Europe, Central Eastern Mediterranean, and local Iberia, whatnot, right? So what do we find when we look at this? So he's saying like circa 500 BC that there's a population of Jews coming over, whatnot. Okay. So we should, and he's saying that they're E1B1A. You know, they look like the Lakish remains or whatnot. You know what I'm saying? They're Negroes. You know what I'm saying? So they got to be E1B1A if they're Negroes. No, that's not how genetics works, fam. You can be any phenotype and be any haplogroup based upon your admixture, fam. Again, this is why we teach so hard that phenotype is fluid or whatnot. But what do we see in this chart? At the earliest time periods that we see in this chart, there's no E there. Matter of fact, they got J2A there. They got J2A there. And on top of that, they have the mitochondrial DNAs on top. Out of the 3 samples, they found the 2 females that are there. They found HVO and U3. And my man in the J2A, he's H. So far, No haplogroups a man's talking about. He's saying you got to either be E1A, E1B1A, or L0 to L3. Let's go to a whole nother time period. From the 5th to the 8th century. From the 5th to the 8th century. So now we're talking about around the time that the Moors hit Spain. 7th century AD with that, right? We do see E1B there, right? We see I there. But check this out. What is the haplogroup of the E1B? Now, again, this isn't E1B1A, just like we showed earlier, like that the E1B1 is not in and of itself E1B1A or E1B1B, even though it is that mutation is going to be accumulated with those two haplogroups. It is the precursor thereof, right? So this E1B, which is differentiated, because you see, I'll show you here later where there's other E1Bs that are mentioned as E1B1A and E1B1B. The haplogroup that the maternal haplogroup my man has is haplogroup T2, just like SFI43. But you know what you don't see along this admixture list here? He has absolutely zero sub-Saharan African DNA. Absolutely zero. And we're going to see this with the majority of the E1Bs. They don't carry sub-Saharan African DNA and whatnot, i.e. they're not Negroes the way they're talked about here. Right, the way they want that Benayah and Teo and Dante all don't want you to think about, right? No way, shape, or form. No way, shape, or form. And if we keep going down, I can see right here that there's a man who's R1B, M269. Again, similar admixture, no sub-Saharan African DNA. He also has T2 as a mitochondrial DNA. Also has T2. These people are maternally linked, right? They got a similar maternal ancestry, to the SFI43 body that was found. Not the people that are Yoruba, these people right here. This is nowhere near West Africa, fam. Nowhere near West Africa. And this is the cold part, because I'm going to skip a whole bunch of stuff, right? He's going to talk about two samples. He's going to talk about one that's E1B1A and one that's L2. So what time period do we find this? Do we find these samples, right? E1B1A, the M219, is found in circa the 10th century CE, fam. That's way after 500 BC, fam. Way after 500 BC. And this is the first instance that they find it, the one that they found, the first instance that they find it, right? It could have been the earlier 100%. Have they found it? No. So my man's speaking past his own facts. And here's the worst part, fam. He starts talking about the mitochondrial DNA and whatnot, right? The L2. When is the L2 there? When is the L2 there? The L2 is there in the 16th century. It's at the end of this. This is when people were getting expelled and whatnot, right? This is the only L. This is the only L that we see in the entirety of this diagram, fam. Beyond that, we see a majority. Check this out. Just so we can understand this, right? I'm gonna run this through right quick. Okay, this is the men, right? This is their haplogroups and time period and whatnot, right? 20% of the bodies are found carried haplogroup J. 15 carried E1B, just E1B, right? 5% carried haplogroup I. 25% carried R1B. 25% carried E1B1B. 5% carried E1B1A. It is the minority, fam. It is the minority to the team. And it's a Johnny come lately to the team. It's not there at the outset. Like we should be expecting to see if Benayah is 100% corrected with it, right? On top of that, here's the females in that time period, right? Again, 11% are HVO, 28% are U, 50% are H. Only one sample, 5.5% is L2. And it's super late to the game. Super late to the game. People have already been expelled from Spain and Portugal. One more time. People had already been expelled from Spain and Portugal by the time they found this sample. By the time this sample is said to have been there. And again, 5.5% was haplogroup W, right? So a couple of things to draw from this, right? One, I need to show this part. Again, the E1B1A brother, right? He had haplogroup H. He had haplogroup H. The L2 sister was there after the expulsion and whatnot, right? So not only does the DNA not match what Benayah's talking about, but the attitudes of these people don't match. The attitudes of these people don't match. The E1B1A brother wasn't like, oh, I'm only going to mix with sisters that are L. No, fam, he's mixing with haplogroup H. And I hate to break it to you, the majority of women that carry haplogroup H are not the darkest skinned women in the world. They're not the darkest skinned women in the world or whatnot. They're typically European women. Typically European women. So the E1B brother, who's Levantine and all kinds of stuff, no issue mixing with T2. E1B1A, no issue mixing with H. No issue with it. Check this out. E1B1B, that's there, right? No issue mixing with H. No issue mixing with U. No issue mixing with H and whatnot. Again, you're not even reflecting the same attitudes as these people. You're trying to take the identity of, because they're not on some black stuff like you are. What do the kids of the E1B1A person and the haplogroup H person look like? Like my man said, the Shabba rings? Nah, fam, stop playing. Stop playing. Here's another thing. So this is something that Benayah refuses to address, right? So he keeps making the claim like, oh, see, we see E1B1A in these areas, in the Senegambia, in the Kingdom of Judah, whatnot, and all that type of stuff, whatnot. Okay, cool, no worries. Like, got you. Like, we got you. Well, we see the remnants of the Sephardic DNA there, right? And it's E1B1A. Is it? Is it? I mean, we legit got we got the DNA references for these Sephardic lineages in South Tome and Principe, etc. These areas where you're saying these Portuguese Jews were all being expelled to if they didn't convert or whatnot, right? Well, what is it looking like? What is it saying? Do we find E1B1A there? Yes, we do. We find M2. We find M191, 100%. But what else do we find there, fam? We find E1B1B, M81. We find R1B. we find more R1B than you can shake a stick at, fam. We get this whole section over here, right? That's not E1B1A, but consistent with all the DNA I just read to you from these other samples that are prior to E1B. Anyway. So what Benayah wants you to believe is that the E1B1A came from Iberia, and don't worry about these. Don't worry about these. These don't count. Like so here where it says the HVO, he's saying don't worry about that. Even though we just saw that was there in Iberia prior to any L or whatnot, right? He wants you to worry about that L2. No, see that L2, that's the real connections. No, fam, that's not how that works. You don't get to just erase the inconvenient haplogroups or whatnot. You don't get to erase them. No, you got to account for them. Why are they there, Benayah? Who do they belong to? Who do they come from? Are they African? Are they Yoruba? Are they Mandinka and whatnot? Inquiry minds want to know. But let's get off into these samples again in the SF543 and SF544 and whatnot. So again, this is like an ancient DNA tracker. We like to check out a lot of different data sets in different DNA websites and whatnot. Y'all can definitely look this up and have some fun with this. But we're looking at the samples that come out of Lebanon and whatnot, right? You can type in whatever place you want to look into and get whatever results you want to. But Lebanon is what's particular here, right? And so I'm going to go one down or whatnot, and so you can see what it is. And so SFI, do I have 40? Yeah, I want to show you SF544 because this is the male sample. The male sample that goes along with the female sample. So SF543 already broke down to be T2C1, right? And again, was said to be of relation to the other brother, the SF544, that sample there, right? So what was his DNA? What was his Y DNA? It was J1A, fam. J1A. So these two samples that are related, that Benayah is showing you whatnot, right? One, you don't find the T2 amongst the Yoruba women. I'm about to show that. But again, her relative, which would also have to be Negro, according to Benayah, is J1A. Now, this is where we have an issue. This is where the skin tone thing, like, it becomes a problem and whatnot, fam, because, so again, he cites the Limba, right? So we know the Limba carry J1. So they carry J's, like, they carry all kind of J's and whatnot. We know the Limba carry J1, and we know they black as midnight. So how does that work? It works because phenotype is fluid, fam. That's how it works. So checking out the mitochondrial DNA of the Yoruba and whatnot. Let's see what it looks like. Let's see if they carry T2, right? Nope. No, sir, they don't. They carry more L's than you can shake a stick at, but they don't carry T, fam. They don't carry T. And so what's the point of me telling you all this stuff, right? The point of me telling you all this is that Benayah knows good and well that his haplogroup science is all cattywampus and messed up and whatnot, right? Which is why he's selectively not showing you some of the arguments he used to make while still making the same overall argument, right? That E1B1A is the Negro and Israelite Y DNA, and that L0 and L3 are the Negro and Israelite MT DNA haplogroups, right? So if that is the case, everything he just showed you is nonsense. Everything he just showed you is nonsense. There's nothing about those dig sites in those records in Lebanon that prove anything of what he's talking about in any way, shape, or form. And he knows it for a fact, which is why he starts pushing autosomal DNA at the end and autosomal connections and whatnot at the end. Oh, and check out this My True Ancestry, because you'll get this connection and autosomal connection. I'm E1A and I get the same hit for that place in Spain in 950. That's me. I still get the same thing, fam. E1A. I'm not E1B1, I'm E1A, fam. EM132, EM33. This is why he's saying take the ancestry test. You know, this man has never showed you his haplogroup. He's telling you E1B1A is the haplogroup, but never showed it to you. He showed you his ancestry DNA test. It's an autosomal test, not a haplogroup test, fam. They do not tell you your haplogroup with that. Mitochondrial or Y DNA. But I'm gonna leave it right here because if I don't, I'm gonna keep shooting and whatnot. My man's already been there way too long, and I know he got a headache dealing with this Benayah stuff and whatnot. So I'm gonna leave it right there. But just understand, he knows he's pulling the wool over your eyes and whatnot. But like he's trying to. I liken Benayah Israel as a 3-card Monty dude, right? You got to watch the hands and whatnot. Don't watch what he's saying. Watch his hands, right? Because he wants to say something while moving the screen real quick or showing you a half picture. And have a bunch of sounds in the background inundating your senses and whatnot. And he's trying to do like the hand is quicker than the eye concept. But when you slow it down and you get into what he's not showing you, because that's the thing, fam, is he likes to cover things up and not show you stuff while he's showing you stuff. And you got to know that. And why does he do that? Because the stuff he's covering up kills his argument. Again, a pseudo always dies at their own source. And I'm going to leave it right there. You good? You sure?
Man, I'm all right, bro. I'm all right. I'm surviving. I'm surviving the onslaught of pseudo information that I had to withstand, man. But you broke it down, man. Like this dude's a pure charlatan. You know, like you said, this new video ain't nothing but, like I mentioned this earlier, nothing but him doubling down and tripling down on something he said a year ago. or 2 years ago.
2 years ago. 2 years ago. And chopping and screwing it, Finn.
Yeah. And just like Teo, they double and they triple down. Like you said, the limbo or haplogroup J. They just ignore that and just say, oh, well, their tradition and their genetics. Okay, yeah, what genetics? The haplogroups connecting with modern Jewish groups that y'all deny and try to claim that they are some kind of alien hybrid or some crazy stuff. Yeah, the TCE2, I went over that earlier. I even showed the population why they cluster with those ancient Egyptians and who those ancient Egyptians were. We went to that sample, was the EV22, the other two were J markers, showed what the facial reconstruction was. They did not look like Benayah, like he was claiming that all these people were Negro, these people were black. So it was a lot to unpack in that video, and that's why we at the 3 hour, 15-minute mark right now, because there's just so many pseudo claims. The claim that medieval jewelry was inundated with dark-skinned people, we debunked that, refuted that. The autosomal, some of these autosomal claims are just outlandish at this point, where, I got a ancestry DNA result back in, it says I got pings in Spain and in England and Portugal, so therefore this is all the places the Jews came. That's just laughable and kind of sad that you go that far to try to push your nonsense. All in all, man, he's a charlatan, man. You brought out some pertinent points, showing and proving that the point of him hiding pertinent information on a screenshot and then putting up, plastering over it. Oh, these are, what do you say, Negro
Negroes with dolichocephalic skulls and Moorish. I'm like, bruh, stop.
Like, you showed the duration of the time, brother. Like, most of the time, when you brought it to 500 BCE, that was a great point. I did not do that. Showing that the time period that he's claiming that they came from Spain. I mean, they came from Levant to Spain, or from Babylon to Spain, rather, after they got expelled. Well, okay. Well, the DNA or genetic profile during that time frame doesn't fit Yoruba or Igbo people. It fits Bell Beaker people, Southern European and Western European people, like you brought out, R1B, S16, S116, and U106.
Hey, shout out to Alazar. You know what I'm saying? It could be you.
Yeah.
It could be you.
Yeah, that's Sakari's people, man, and it might be Benayah's people. Like you said, who in here has seen his Y haplogroup?
Man, you feel me? Inquiring minds want to know. I'm like, I got the hunch that he took the DNA test and he knows what it is. He just ain't trying to show it for him. I think he's right there with the whole, you know what I'm saying, with the we woke now. Like, God's gonna fix my DNA.
Oh my God. Yeah, man. Terrible takes. The recapitulation is just getting annoying at this point. Like, we broke this video down literally last year. You know what I'm saying? The same talking points, sprinkled with a little extra pizzazz with the video effects and the theatrical effects of everything to mystify the audience. But yeah, man, I mean, it's just as pseudo as it was. I don't see him moving off of this.
So here's what it is, though. So, and this is why having a model is so important. So what at this juncture, I need Benayah to fill in the rest of the model. Right? So you're saying that E1B1A is going to be underneath Shem. You're saying that L0 to L3 is going to be underneath Shem. Now break down the rest of them for me. Who's Ham? Who's Japheth, man? I really need to know who Ham is. I really need to know who Ham is. You got all the else is Shem from. I need to know who Ham is all day. Because you and Dante are saying that we mixed with Hamites and whatnot. That the Shemites and Hamites is going back. Like, who? So who is it, man? Male and female, who is it? Because you're gonna mess around and say some stuff like the males, like Ham got to be like A and B, And then you're gonna mess around and give them some stuff like from the M's on down and whatnot. It's gonna look funny, bro. Like the time, it's not gonna overlap at all, right? At all, right? It's gonna look crazy as hell.
They're gonna end up calling other E carriers ham.
Facts. Meanwhile, the one E1B1A sample you can find in Grenada, fam, is haplogroup H.
Yeah.
Had no issue intermixing, fam. None. They wasn't on the skin doctrine stuff that you was on, fam. They were not on this skin doctor stuff you were talking about, fam. Unless H is now Negro. Is that part your thing now?
They think all of Europe was black during that time.
Hey, you know, he might throw it in like this the black Germany, you know what I'm saying? It's gonna be like this, the black Spain, you know what I'm saying? Like, oh wow, I can see it happening. I can see, but at this juncture, like there's nothing consistent about their arguments, man. There's and when it comes to genetics, there's nothing. All they're looking for is what can we find that makes something look black and connected to us or whatever. That's sad, fam. That's super sad because there's a lot of legit real history you can connect yourself to, a lot of legit real people you connect yourself to instead of just making up stuff. This, like my man saying, this whole like Disney Marvel production and whatnot, fam. Like it's not even a good story, bro. We came from Babylon to Spain to West. We came from Babylon to Spain to West Africa. Y'all want that story? We're the real Sephardic Jew. Okay, got you. Got you. So why are you so sub-Saharan African, bro? Why you got the wrong haplogroups, bro? Well, you might not, Benayah. I don't know. You might have the right ones. You might be right there. We staff and senior stuff. Not us. We all showing our stuff, man. All of us. Even the ones you don't see in the app showed their DNA already, fam. Y'all out there hiding. Y'all over there with that Darby doctrine. Oh, we all E1B1A. No, you're not. No, you're not. Dante thought the same thing. Dante thought the same thing. So this is the cold part. You got Benayah out there with his doctrine, literally like when he says the E1B1A is the Israelite and Negro joint. Okay, so Teo, he just booted both y'all out. Dante, he booted you straight out. Wow. Like, that's cold. People have no idea how much they fight each other with the DNA doctrines and whatnot. And but will be buddy in front of the screen with y'all. And none of it makes sense. They can, like, if they were all right, none of them would be Israelites. Anyway, I'm gonna leave it there. I'm gonna start ranting, bro. It's way too late for that. I'm sorry. I'm gonna stop.
You good, man? It's a lot to be said about these pseudo groups, man. And yeah, you did a great job breaking down timeline. That was very important, showing that he hiding information. I mean, you're the first person to introduce me to his trickery, because I would hear about him, you know, or see a clip or something. You know, I didn't think too much about it, but he was like, man, that dude pseudo, he hide sources.
You gotta watch Benayah at 0.25 speed. You gotta see. You gotta watch the hands the whole time, bro.
Yeah, man, he do sleight of the hand all the time, bro.
Yeah,
like the genetic bottleneck argument that he made in the beginning, bro, to try to explain why African Americans don't have a great levantine, you know, autosomal admixture. It was just weird, bro. And I'm like, wait, okay, so what about the West Africans? You can't use that argument for the West Africans because they never went through this quote unquote bottleneck.
Right.
So we just test the West Africans why they don't have this great amount of Levantine ancestors. It don't make any sense, man. I mean, he's trying to use West African populations as the sample population to prove who a Jew is. It's weird. How are you proving out that these people are the sample size for Sephardic Jews? How do you prove that? That's a circular argument. Oh, hey, look, I found a high, I think you've seen this part of the video, a damn high prevalence or a large amount of African DNA or black DNA. Therefore, It's in the places where they said the Jews were, therefore they're the Jews.
Yeah.
That's the level of argument he got, bro. So yeah, man.
He said they were in the places that the African American DNA was in highest concentration in places where the Portuguese went, right? It's like, okay, so how come the Portuguese don't have the high preponderance of the DNA you're talking about? Exactly. Like, how did, like, you know what I'm saying? Or how come when the Portuguese showed up, they keep dropping off E1B1B and they keep dropping off R1B and whatnot? You know what I'm saying? And they're not dropping off E1B1A. Like, that's not the genetic signature they left behind. Like, exactly. And literally, this is when we got into the whole beef with everybody talking about, like, I know you remember when We Woke Now tried to tell Garfield he was hiding sources and not saying it right, when they were beefing over the whole the Lanzados not considering themselves Negroes and they were enslaving the Mandinka and whatnot. And so, like, their whole thing is like, no, that they are the Lanzados. This is the whole thing. They are the Lanzados and the Mandinka at the same time. And I'm like, how, bruh? And if you are, like, you're the despicable ones. You're the ones enslaving people, fam. That's the culture you want to come from. You don't want to come from the Iberian slavers, fam. That's your culture. And y'all want to tell us we selling our birthright, bruh. I don't even understand. You want to come from Iberian slavers, fam, and say that they populated West Africa with the Yoruba come from Iberian slavers, the Igbo come from Iberian slavers, Yo, y'all are wild with it, fam.
You know, it'd be nice, but it would never happen if they would just allow their ideas to be tested and have a formal debate over some of these claims. With YAP, of course, they probably go debate somebody else, but with a YAP member that knows their stuff, you know what I'm saying, they getting wiped. You know, it would be nice to see that, because what's going to keep happening is every video they make from this point on is just going to double down and triple down on what's been said already, instead of challenging themselves and say, you know what, let me go back and read that paper. But like we said earlier, and what you pointed out is, it ain't about challenging the information. It ain't about, you know, making sure you're right and correct on your points. He's just indoctrinating. And the proof, like, again, he introduced me to this man's, you know, charlatan ways. The proof is he hides information. He blocks the, you know, pertinent information so you won't know what the paper's talking about. Or he just flat out says that the paper is telling you one thing when the paper had no word or sentence that ever pointed in that direction. For, you know, case in point, what you brought out, saying that E1B1A was found in Israel, and that paper doesn't even say that. You know, so it's just trickery, man. But we can get out of here, bro. It's late. I gotta go to bed. I thought I was gonna be on here with Sean, but that never happened. So I said, you know what? Let's go ahead and tackle Benayah, man. And it is what it is. More, it is what it is.
Yeah, I might run this back on my channel tomorrow, fam, because, like, I can't, bruh. Like, the level of trickery my man's playing, I was like, yo, like, that's just you're making merchandise to people, fam. Like, real talk, and that's just that. Like, that's what you think of your audience, so they're just merchandise for you, fam. That's just sad.
Exactly. We out of here, man. And remember, that nigga.
This nigga was clearly lying.